After my rebirth, I sold my job first, then changed my daughter's household registration. Fan Jianjun wanted my job, too bad, I already sold it. Widow Wang's son wants to inherit my daughter's corporation. In his dreams, in this seemingly conservative era, I planned to spread rumors about that scumbag, but the truth I uncovered was even more sensational. It turns out that while I was in confinement after childbirth, Widow Wang was already carrying that viper in her belly, given the chance. I wouldn't have let that snake be born. Xiaoyun, now that your month of confinement is over, get up and let's go take care of the paperwork today. That detestable voice of Fan Jianjun rang in my ears. For a moment, I was dazed before remembering what had happened. After all, it was all over 40 years ago, on the very day I finished my postpartum confinement. Fan Jianjun emotionally blackmailed me into going to the textile mill to transfer my permanent job to him. After that, my in-laws and his attitude towards me plummeted. They berated me daily and starved both me and my daughter. Later, they even found an excuse to throw me and my daughter out. Within 2 months, an old colleague from the mill told me that Fan Jianjun had moved Widow Wang from the factory into our home, and she gave birth to a son just 4 months later. I was adrift with my daughter, too ashamed to face my parents. They had opposed my relationship with Fan Jianjun, arguing that I was a high school graduate while he was a drifter who hadn't even finished elementary school. I believed love shouldn't be defined by education. He even took on temporary work for my sake. What more did I have to fear? So, despite my parents' objections, I resolutely held a wedding banquet and married Fan Jianjun. However, we were too young to register our marriage legally. This later left me completely powerless when, after Fan Jianjun took over my permanent job position, he threw me out of our home. In my past life, after being cast out, I was consumed by shame and humiliation. I vowed never to see my parents again until I could make something respectable of myself. I started looking for work with my daughter on my back. I took on odd jobs at construction sites, carrying bricks, spreading cement, laying tiles, and worked as a dishwasher and waitress in restaurants. I could do any job a man could do, if they wouldn't let me. I'd beg until they had no choice but to give me the work. I later found out someone had told my parents about my situation. Seeing me work like a man on the construction site broke their hearts, so they started paying the restaurant owner every month just to have him hire me as a waitress. Xiaoyun, come get dressed. We're going to the factory's HR department to sort out the paperwork. Fan Jianjun came over with my work uniform, telling me to put it on. If it weren't for the fact she could give her job to Jianjun, we'd have kicked her out the moment she gave birth to a daughter. The father-in-law muttered under his breath, exactly, our Jianjun is such a fine-looking man. If Xiaoyun hadn't been so desperate to chase after him, how could she ever have become a daughter-in-law of our Fan family? The mother-in-law chimed in, Dad, Mom, that's enough. Xiaoyun is wonderful too. She's devoted only to me, and I don't care for anyone else. In my heart, having a daughter isn't her fault, but since the birth hurt her health, she needs to stay home and recuperate properly. From now on, I'll go to work and earn the money to support the family. Xiaoyun can just stay home and enjoy a comfortable life. Fan Jianjun played the good guy. That's exactly how it was in my past life. His parents constantly put me down, nitpicked everything I did, and hurled insults at me. Fan Jianjun, on the other hand, played the good guy, always standing up for me. In today's terms, he crafted this devoted husband persona, which made me willingly hand over my job and my apartment to him. Phew, I let out a long sigh. In my past life, I often felt he didn't suffer enough. Well, now's my chance. When we arrived at the textile mill, I told Fan Jianjun to wait outside while I went in first to have a word with the personnel department. He looked at me with a mixture of suspicion and uncertainty. I haven't told the factory yet. If I just go to process the paperwork, they definitely won't do it for me. I left him behind, went inside, and closed the door on my own. Xiaohe, do you know anyone around you who wants a permanent job? I'm thinking of selling mine. Seeing that Xiaohe was alone in the office, I didn't beat around the bush and stated my purpose directly. Sell it, Lin Yun. Do you have any idea how many people want to work at our factory? Yours is a permanent position, while others are just temps. There are plenty of people who'd want to buy it. Are you sure you want to sell? Xiaohe was my high school classmate. We were hired in the same batch for the factory. I was busy with romance, while she focused on her studies. In the end, I was still on the workshop floor, and she had already landed a desk job in the office. I'm sure, if I don't sell this job, Fan Jianjun will try to force me to give it to him, but he's gotten involved with Widow Wang from workshop for now. If he gets a steady job, and I'm still recovering from childbirth and not in good health, I'm afraid he might get some improper ideas. I wasn't worried about spreading rumors, This was probably already the truth. After all, they had a son just a few months after getting married. Widow Wang must be pregnant by now. Xiaohe's eyes flickered, clearly taken aback by this piece of gossip. Alright. It just so happens my sister-in-law is looking for a proper job. I can get you 1,000 for it. Come back this afternoon, and I'll have her bring the money. So many people came to Xiaohe asking about jobs that she immediately thought of a good buyer. Fan Jianjun is outside, and I still need you to help me get rid of him. Well, since I'd already brought up the matter of Fan Jianjun, I might as well let Xiaohe see the whole embarrassing spectacle. She opened the door with a frosty expression. The higher-ups are here for an inspection these 2 days, so we can't process any paperwork. You'll have to come back in a week. It was right at the end of the workday, and I was rushing home to see my daughter. In my past life, by the time I got home at this hour, the old couple had already thrown all of my daughter's belongings into the small back room. Lin Yun, I heard you had a daughter and it wrecked your health. Can't have any more kids now. Is that right? The person blocking my path with a beaming smile was none other than Widow Wang. The textile mill had plenty of female workers, but even among several thousand, this Widow Wang was a particularly notorious figure. She was quite good-looking. She started as a temporary worker. After she married her husband, he died suddenly on the job. The older women at the mill said her husband always looked completely drained, dark circles under his eyes. Wobbly legs, unsteady on his feet. It was obvious she'd sucked the life right out of him. But since he died right there in the workshop, the mill had no choice but to let Widow Wang take over his position. Widow Wang's reputation was in tatters, but that didn't stop her romantic escapades. Fan Jianjun was beside me. She gave him a coquettish smile and said, "Brother Jianjun, you've got such a hard lot in life. How will you manage without a son to carry on the family line?" I looked at Fan Jianjun. His whole persona was built around being a devoted husband. "I'll get by just fine without a son. Xiaoyun is still young. Just because she can't have one now doesn't mean she never will. You sure have a lot to say for yourself." Widow Wang, sure enough, since he didn't get the job, he had to keep up the act of the loving husband. Widow Wang looked utterly stunned. In her mind, since we had just come from the personnel office today, the formalities must have been settled, otherwise. Why would she have dared to provoke me? But now, her beloved Jianjun Gu was still defending me, which took her completely by surprise. "Wang Guiying, let me tell you something. Mind your own business and stop being a busybody. There are plenty of female workers in our factory. If I find out anyone is tarnishing the factory's reputation with their loose morals, I won't hesitate to report them to the leadership for a serious demerit." Xiaohe emerged with a cold expression, holding his lunchbox. Widow Wang glanced at Fan Jianjun once more before slinking away in defeat. "Lin Yun, you should keep your distance from Widow Wang. That woman has a terrible reputation." Having said that, Xiaohe turned and walked away without another word. Fan Jianjun's eyes darted back and forth, filled with suspicion and uncertainty. This idiot found his confidence at my expense, and actually thought the young widow's love for him was the selfless, devoted kind. The young widow just wants him for his body. When I got home, sure enough, those 2 old bastards had thrown my daughter's belongings into the small shack. The textile factory assigned me a single-story house instead of an apartment building, all because my seniority was low. This little courtyard is only about 60 square meters in total, with 1 main room and 1 small room. Because I was in my postpartum confinement period, Fan Jianjun brought his parents from the countryside under the pretense of helping me, but in reality, they were just leeching off me. I spent a month in confinement, and the 3 of them, his whole family, gained quite a bit of weight. My daughter was wailing in the small room, her diaper was soaked through, and the formula was nowhere to be found. I quickly changed her into a clean diaper and fed the baby. I paid no mind to the 3 of them whispering in the big room, "Xiaoyun, now that your month of confinement is over, you can make lunch. My arms and legs are aching from all the work this past month. Oh, it's been the death of me." The old woman started her nonsense. "I can't do it. This afternoon, I'm going to beg Xiaohe to find a way to get the paperwork done as soon as possible. Right now, I need to figure out what gift to buy for her. I couldn't be bothered with this old hag. I'll let Widow Wang deal with her." "You're willing to go see Xiaohe?" Fan Jianjun sounded rather pleased to hear me say that. "The sooner we get this done, the sooner you can go out and earn money, whether it's my health or our daughter's nutrition. What doesn't cost money?" I was telling the truth. After giving birth, Fan Jianjun told me I had damaged my body and couldn't have more children. My medical knowledge from my past life told me there was something fishy about that whole story. That afternoon, using the excuse of delivering a gift, I went to finalize the paperwork. With over 1,000 yuan in cash tucked carefully in my pocket, I cautiously made my way back to my parents' home. I bought my parents some malted milk powder and a good amount of fatty pork. Ignoring my father's sullen expression, I quickly set the things down. In my past life, my mother had been so upset with me that she fell seriously ill and took a long time to recover. I told my parents to bring more people to my place tomorrow. I'm going to kick Fan Jianjun and his whole family out. Seeing that I'd come to my senses and seen through that scumbag and his family, my dad's eyes instantly lit up. We'll keep an eye on things for you, sweetheart. You just go to work and don't worry. After spending the night in the small room, I realized Fan Jianjun still hadn't come back. I knew he must have gone to see Widow Wang. I gave him the cold shoulder all day yesterday, so I really ought to go and apologize. Without another word, I got up, got my daughter ready, and started packing their family's belongings. The old couple were still expecting me to make them breakfast. They must be dreaming. When Fan Jianjun finally stumbled back, his legs like jelly, I took one look at his face. He was deathly pale with dark circles under his eyes, completely drained. Perfect. He stared at the things I had packed and tossed outside the door, dumbfounded. Xiaoyun, are you throwing out your parents' old clothes to buy them new ones? No need, they're old. What do they need new clothes for? These will do just fine. If you're feeling generous, buy a couple of things for me instead. You've got it all wrong. Now that my confinement month is over, your parents should go back to tend the fields. And you too. Before I could finish, I saw my parents walk in, followed by a whole crowd of people. The neighbors were all peeking out and craning their necks to get a look. You're a piece of trash too. Just look at yourself. Drained and hollowed out. A spineless, worthless waste of space. Get out of here with your parents. I threw all their stuff out. That whole family is rotten to the core. Utterly despicable. Dad, get your guys and drag that old couple out of bed. They're sleeping in my bed, eating my food, drinking my drinks. And now they're dead set on making me give my job to Fan Jianjun and shoving me and my daughter into that tiny room. I yelled at my father. My dad's workmates were all truck drivers. Burly men with thick waists and tough, scowling faces. They shoved Fan Jianjun aside and barged into the main room. I refused to believe the old couple could still be sleeping through this. Ioyo, murder, you filthy pervert. What are you doing pulling off my covers? The old woman's shrieks drew an even bigger crowd. Everyone in the residential compound who wasn't at work started poking their heads out to see what was happening. Xiaoyun, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Did someone tell you something? Don't believe them. There's nothing going on between me and that Widow Wang. Fan Jianjun scrambled to explain himself to me in a panic. Explain my ass. I always wondered why Widow Wang's place was so lively every night. I never imagined Fan Jianjun was involved too. The neighborly auntie started gossiping with the person beside her. Just look at the state of him. That's not from 1 or 2 visits. A whole week of that wouldn't leave a man looking like that. That Widow Wang, she's a real succubus. Where would a temp worker like Fan Jianjun get the money for Widow Wang? Doesn't she charge for her overnight services? Maybe Fan Jianjun is just exceptionally skilled at pleasing Widow Wang. Otherwise, why would a proper high school graduate like Xiaoyun go for him? The man's gotta have at least one strong suit. As long as a man is long in one department, that's enough. The gossip from the wives in the residential compound made the uncles who came to help turn beet red. With a thump, the 2 uncles tossed the bedsheet outside my yard. Xiaoyun, you'd better not use this sheet again. We tried to be polite and ask them to get up, but that old hag acted like a hussy, refused to put any clothes on. We had no choice but to carry them out. Damn, they were heavy, one uncle said, shaking his hand as if exhausted. Well, I'll be damned. Look at old Fan's junk. It's not small. No wonder Widow Wang took a liking to Fan Jianjun. The auntie started yapping again. You're so crude. Look, old Fan's actually quite fair-skinned, while this woman is as dark as coal. You damned bitch, you useless woman who can't even bear a son. How dare you treat us old folks like this? I'll make Xiaojun divorce you. Lin Yun, you little slut, you're out of your mind. Look at my son, Xiaojun, tall, handsome, a real catch. Plenty of women out there would kill to marry him. A gold-digging little tramp like you doesn't deserve a job. You should hand your job over to my son. Your duty is to wait on us hand and foot, but instead, you spend money on that worthless girl you popped out, buying her this and that. I should have drowned her at birth, the old woman ranted, frantically wrapping the bedsheet around herself. My father turned and kicked Fan Jianjun. Keep talking, you cursed Xiaoyun 3 times, so I'm kicking your son 3 times. My dad then delivered 3 more heavy, thudding kicks. The old man was stunned. You already kicked him once at the start, that's too many. I can hear him wheezing. It's annoying. My dad held Fan Jianjun up like he was a scrawny chicken. Get the hell out of here. I'll beat you every single time I lay eyes on you. My dad then slapped Fan Jianjun across the face. Honestly, if only I could have had my dad back me up in my past life. Seeing their son getting beaten without being able to fight back, the old couple was terrified. We're leaving. We're going right now. Just stop hitting him. The old man, stark naked, and the old woman, wrapped in a bedsheet, scrambled out the door. Hey, old man Fan. If you run around like that, you're liable to get reported for public indecency. The neighbor lady stared intently at old man Fan, offering this friendly piece of advice. The aunties burst into raucous laughter, while the old man started spewing filth and cursing. Hearing this, my dad kicked Fan Jianjun right in the crotch, making him double over instantly. Humph, serves him right if he's ruined. Dad, make him leave too. Widow Wang is pregnant with his kid. She's definitely going to latch onto him. I can't stand the sight of him. Seizing the moment with everyone present, I started spilling the beans. What? Widow Wang is pregnant? I was just thinking the other day how nice it was to see her putting on a bit of weight. Turns out she's expecting. The young neighbor woman muttered under her breath. Xiao Yun, I have no feelings for her. My heart belongs only to you. Fan Jianjun clutched his stomach, all the while clinging to his devoted husband persona. A wave of fresh resentment mixed with old grievances washed over her. Fan Jianjun, you're utterly despicable. I'm attractive, gentle, a high school graduate, and I have a proper job. The only reason I ever looked your way in the first place was because I was blind. Look at you, broke, stupid, and completely drained by others. What gives you the nerve to think I love you? Do you not own a mirror? Or do you lack a puddle to see your own reflection? Why don't you take a good look at that hideous face of yours? It's uglier than Zhu Beiji's second aunt. I must have been blind to ever fall for you. You're insane. Stop bothering me here. This is as disgusting as stepping in dog shit, and you dare claim you're sincere with me. Are you out of your mind? You absolute moron. Seeing the look of utter disbelief on everyone's faces, I felt a surge of satisfaction. It took me a long time in my past life to understand the concept of a persona. Once I grasped what a persona was, I realized how Fan Jianjun had been gaslighting me. Unfortunately, I still couldn't escape his demands concerning his daughter. The thought of my successful daughter being threatened by him 40 years from now, and ultimately killed by him, made it impossible for me to pretend our marriage could continue. I exposed his affair with Widow Wang, even though Widow Wang later dumped him. The idea to murder my daughter was undoubtedly planted with the scheming help of her son. Therefore, I want nothing more to do with him. After giving them a beating and throwing them out, I took my daughter and moved in with my parents. My parents were also happy, but after my brother left for the army, I went and did something foolish again. The old couple truly felt sorry for my misfortune, yet were exasperated by my lack of effort, now that they see I've come to my senses. Of course they want to keep me close by, just in case I have another episode. My mom urged me to go register the child's household registration. After thinking it over, I refused. Mom, I have to guard against Fan Jianjun's family. I thought about how, in my past life, an old and frail Fan Jianjun had brought reporters to find Lin Xing. I couldn't help but imagine tearing him limb from limb in my mind. Why? My mom was sewing a pair of tiger head shoes for her. If I register the baby's household registration now, it'll officially confirm she's Fan Jianjun's daughter. What if he falls on hard times later, waves the banner of family ties, goes on about blood being thicker than water, and comes crawling back to our daughter for support in his old age? How disgusting would that be? The moment I said it, my mom's face also twisted into a look of disgust. We really should be careful. The Fan family is so calculating. Let's just register her next year. My brother's married now anyway, and isn't my sister-in-law pregnant? We can have her register the baby as twins then. What do you think? I knew about my brother's wedding. My parents didn't scold me that day. Of course it's possible. I'll write to your brother and his wife right now. Tell them to register our little girl when the time comes. I guess you can only pull this off now because the rules aren't so strict and everything's still done manually. Alright, Mom, Dad and I are heading out for a couple of days. You take good care of Linxing. My mom was a homemaker, and my dad was a driver for the transport team. I told him about selling my job assignment. He wasn't exactly thrilled, but at least he didn't yell at me. I discussed with him the idea of going to Guangzhou to source goods and start a stall selling clothes, socks, underwear, and the like. After hearing me out, he let out a long sigh, then nodded to show he understood. After all, he'd traveled all over and seen a lot. He knew that in many places now, people had already started figuring out ways to make money. As for the child in Widow Wang's belly, there's no rush. She's not even showing yet. We should at least wait until everyone knows the widow is pregnant before we make our move. Coming back from Canton, my eyes were truly opened. even with my past life knowledge of how prosperous things could become after the reforms. I was still utterly stunned by the sheer vibrancy of the city. You have to understand, over a decade later, my daughter would tell me when she was in middle school that there were still classmates in her class who didn't have enough to eat. I need to make money, work hard, and create better conditions so Dad can retire early and not end up with a body full of ailments from driving. With the $1,000 I got from selling my job, I spent $940 on stock. I didn't waste a second after getting it off the train. I set up my stall right outside our textile mill. Before the end of the workday, I had all the sweaters with the new designs hung up and the jackets pressed nice and smooth. The textile mill had a lot of female workers, about 5,000, and plenty of male workers too. After all, it's usually the men who know how to fix the machinery. A sweater. This sweater is so lovely. The pattern is actually pandas. I like this plaid one, Lin Yun. How much is this sweater? Quite a few of the young female workers had money to spare. The textile mill was doing well, meals were cheap, so these women had cash on hand. Patterned sweaters are 35 yuan each, plain ones are 28, and jeans are 31. These prices were a couple of yuan cheaper than the state-run supply and marketing cooperative, and the quality was even better. I'm wearing an outfit I picked with a 40-year head start in fashion sense. Even though I just finished my postpartum confinement, I didn't rest properly and am still quite thin, but I'm tall, so the clothes still look good on me. The jeans and argyle sweater drove the female workers wild in an instant. Wave after wave of people surged forward. Even the 2 wool coats I had put out just for display were bought. I didn't drag my exhausted body back to my mom's place until the night shift workers started their shift. Who would have thought we'd sell out nearly 200 pieces of clothing in just 5 hours? I haven't calculated the exact profit, but I estimate it's no less than 5,000 yuan. Some people even placed pre-orders and asked me to come back again. Xiaohe walked me home. She had bought a woolen coat. Lin Yun, next time you're restocking, pick out a red sweater for me. It's my mom's zodiac year, and I want to give it to her for her birthday. Who would have thought Xiaohe was so filial? In her past life, she was quite formidable too. She always knew what she wanted and seized every opportunity, moving from the workshop floor to HR, then from HR into management. Later, when the textile mill converted to a shareholding system, she even became a shareholder. Unfortunately, the major shareholder's son had a gambling problem and lost most of the factory. No problem, I'll go after a day's rest. Xiaohe looked at me, hesitating to speak. What's wrong? Are you and Fan Jianjun considered divorced? What has Fan Jianjun done this time? We never actually got married, we never registered. I guess you could call this keeping the child, losing the father. My joke, decades ahead of its time, clearly left Xiaohe speechless. What happened to him? It hasn't even been a month. What could possibly have gone wrong? He got into a fight a few days ago and was taken into custody. It was only after Xiaohe explained that I found out. After I kicked that family of 3 out, the old couple had no intention of going back to the countryside because they were so comfortable living in the city. They found out their son was having an affair with widow Wang, who was now pregnant. To avoid returning to the village, the 2 of them egged their son on to go live with widow Wang. After all, Wang Guiying was a permanent employee with a proper job. If Wang Guiying ends up as foolish as I was, supporting a man and dutifully caring for her parents, then her comfortable life will be over before it even begins. Fan Jianjun naturally thought the same. He was a drifter with no diploma, no skills, working a temp job where his pay was docked every day. He figured if he almost managed to land me, he could certainly handle an uneducated widow, so he went to find widow Wang. At the time, she was still unaware that her pregnancy was common knowledge. She thought she could keep fooling around with other men, getting her needs met while also receiving financial support from them. But when Fan Jianjun declared he wanted to settle down with her, widow Wang, of course, started running the numbers. I'm a permanent employee making over 60 yuan a month, while Fan Jianjun is just a temporary worker earning less than 20. That's unacceptable, so I turned him down. When the old couple found out, they flew into a rage and stood outside widow Wang's building, hurling abuse. They screamed that Wang Guiying was already carrying their son's child, so how dare she reject her own man. The language was so foul that widow Wang, furious, got up at dawn and doused the pair with a bucket of night soil. The neighbors in the whole stairwell couldn't stand it, grumbling as they left for work or school. The women who stayed home also headed out to the streets to pass the time, one by one. Because the stench was unbearable, Xiaohe recounted with a shudder. Later, Fan Jianjun waited at the building entrance. When Wang Guiying got off work, he tried to pester her again, but ended up locked outside. He still wouldn't leave. That evening, When another one of Wang Guiying's lovers came knocking, Fan Jianjun sprang out and got into a fight with the man. Both men were pretty pathetic. Their fight basically devolved into hair-pulling and face-scratching. After they'd been at it for a while, Wang Guiying opened the door and doused them both with a basin of foot-washing water. Enraged, Fan Jianjun tried to hit Wang Guiying, but the two men ended up ganging up on him and giving him a thorough beating. Wang Guiying was truly fierce in a fight. She grabbed the iron shovel used for scooping coal briquettes and smacked Fan Jianjun right in the face with it. His nose bridge broke. His front teeth got knocked out, and he was absolutely terrified. The neighbors couldn't stand the commotion in the hallway anymore and called the police. The public security officers detained all three of them. Excellent, I nodded, feeling like setting off firecrackers to celebrate. Who would have thought that cold-hearted Xiao he could gossip so well? It's almost ready. What he does is none of my business. When I got home, I handed my mom the clothes I bought for her and gave my daughter a kiss. If my little girl wants to study computer science or software in the future, I absolutely have to earn more money to give her a better start. In my past life, I heard that kids who got into Tsinghua for computer science, many of them could already program as freshmen. Some students from families without the means couldn't keep up with the coursework and had to repeat the year. I'll get everything ready so that as soon as computers are available for sale, I can get one set up for her. After the little one fell asleep, I took the money and went to my parents to count it together. It's a kind of simple joy I haven't felt in so many years. Payments are much more convenient decades later, but the joy of spending money has diminished a great deal. I did the math, and excluding my travel expenses, I actually made close to 6,000 bucks. My parents were just as shocked as I was. You made more in these 2 days than I do in 2 years. My dad, being a driver, is actually doing pretty well for himself, yet, I was still amazed by how quickly you can make money running a street stall. I'll go restock the day after tomorrow, so I'll have to trouble you with things at home. Honestly, I should have done this in my past life, but come to think of it, in my past life, I not only lacked the foresight, but even if I had it, I didn't have the capital. What I earned in a month was barely enough to put food on the table. I had neither the time nor the capital to do any of this. Thank goodness I sold my job right after my rebirth and brought my parents on board. Otherwise, I'd have neither the capital nor the energy to get into the clothing wholesale business. I kept up a routine of making a weekly trip to source and sell clothes. Seeing my success, many people started wanting to set up their own stalls like mine. Even going so far as to ask my mom where I got my stock. Xiaoyun, isn't it ridiculous? Just the other day, these same people were gossiping about you getting dumped, and now they're all sweet-talking me, trying to fish for information about your suppliers, said my mom, a sharp old lady who had nothing but contempt for these folks. If anyone else asks, just tell them openly, they don't have my eye for fashion anyway, and the trip to Guangzhou isn't easy. The trains are full of pickpockets, scammers, and even traffickers. If any savvy buyers want to source goods from me, that's fine, I'll give them a good price. After all, if their order volume is large, I can get my own stock cheaper too. I knew that running a street stall wasn't a long-term plan. My real goal was to become a wholesaler myself. Alright, I'll tell them if anyone asks. Oh, by the way, did you hear that Fan Jianjun is living with that widow now? My mom suddenly switched to gossip mode. You know how Widow Wang has 3 rooms in her house? She told everyone she rented them out. Well, guess who she rented them to? It's Fan Jianjun and that guy he got into a fight with. Whoa, 2 men and 1 woman. Impressive. So who's the one being cuckolded here? Fan Jianjun sent his own parents back to the countryside and moved in with a widow himself. I saw him once. After all, you don't see many young men with a gap in their front teeth. He and another comrade accompanied Wang Guiying to buy clothes. When he saw it was me selling them, he made a snide remark. This woman clearly has no proper job. She's a vagrant, setting up a stall here. If this were a few years earlier, you'd have been arrested as a speculator and profiteer. The moment Widow Wang opened her mouth, I knew she wasn't here to buy clothes. She was here to start trouble. With a faint delicacy and a hint of a sneer, she said, "Oh, Brother Jianjun, how can you say such a thing? Comrade Lin Yun will be heartbroken. Sure, we're all workers, but that doesn't mean we should look down on someone who's not right in the head. To throw away a perfectly good job and become a profiteering speculator, it's just shameful. Look at you, Comrade Lin Yun, you had such a bright future ahead of you, yet you chose to become a profiteer. Just look at these clothes you're selling. I'd be afraid to wear them for fear people would think I was indecent. Now, if you want to keep selling, that's your business, but I'm worried others might rough you up. However, if you could pay a little protection fee, say, 5 yuan a month to Brother Jianjun and Brother Agua, I could have them smooth things over for you. Both I and the gathered onlookers burst out laughing. You say my clothes are indecent. I thought living with 2 men was indecent. I thought a widow getting pregnant was indecent. I thought draining a man dry every day was indecent. Shameless acts are what's indecent. What does decent or indecent even have to do with clothes? The onlookers burst into laughter and started calling out, give me a decent sweater and an indecent pair of jeans. Let's see if I can get a man's attention then. I deftly took the money and handed over the clothes. Don't you worry, young lady, if you wear my clothes, no indecent fellows will bother you, no gap-toothed creeps will come near. You'll only attract decent people. People who appreciate beauty. Widow Wang was fuming, her face dark with anger. Another tough guy stepped up, slapping my stall and threatening me. Listen, I was gonna go easy on you and only charge $10 a month for protection, but now, forget it, you're paying me $30 a month. I yanked out the steel pipe holding up the clothes rack and swung it straight at his hand. Who the hell are you? I'd rather pay my taxes than give a dime to you. Who do you think you are? The onlookers were pure drama. Even as I was squaring off with this guy, they didn't back off. Some even pulled out sunflower seeds and started snacking. A good crowd had gathered. Perfect. I knew Widow Wang would come looking for trouble. She's about 4 months pregnant now, just starting to show a little, but it's not very noticeable. Who knows which of those 2 men is actually the father of the child she's carrying? The man, howling in pain from his broken hand, charged straight at me. Knowing Widow Wang was on my left, I instead darted toward Fan Jianjun beside her. Fan Jianjun is left-handed, so he leads with his left when he throws a punch. As I rushed his left side, he raised that arm and shoved Widow Wang right in front of me, mimicking Sun Wukong. I planted the steel pipe on the ground, used it to vault into the air, and landed a solid kick on Fan Jianjun. Meanwhile, the man with the broken hand, carried by his own momentum, crashed right into Widow Wang behind me. The onlookers had already started clapping and cheering. I pushed my way out of the crowd and saw the one-armed man struggling to push himself up off the ground with his remaining hand, having been lying on top of Widow Wang. Beneath him, Widow Wang had already begun to bleed. Guiying, my son, Fan Jianjun cried, reaching for Widow Wang's belly before suddenly turning to attack the one-armed man again. Bastard, you bastard, it's all your fault. My son is gone because of you. That's my son. The one-armed man was clearly no match for him. His face had been shredded by Fan Jianjun's fingernails. Take me to the hospital, Widow Wang gasped weakly, and the 2 men instantly stopped fighting, like a pair of temple guardians. They each took an arm to help Widow Wang up. I even kindly helped them borrow a flatbed cart for the year. The whole 2 men and a woman fighting to be the dad drama blew up overnight in our city. I bet even the neighboring towns have heard about it by now. It's brought a whole new crowd to my little stall. Some come to buy clothes, but most just come for the gossip. Step right up, take a look, the hottest new bell-bottoms in town, don't miss out, this is a one-time deal, buy now, look great now, wear M today, be stylish today. Don't let the look fool you, these pants are cheaper than at the state store, $30 a pair is a steal, wear M 300 days a year, that's pennies a day, and the quality, these'll last you a solid 10 years, over a decade, that's like 1 cent a day. What can you even buy for a cent these days? Not even a piece of taffy, let alone a pair of pants like these. The moment the marketing spiel from 40 years in the future dropped, even the gossip-hungry onlookers were swayed. And they all started picking out clothes. Even Widow Wang and the child in her womb ended up creating some value. The next day, Xiaohe worked overtime just to wait until I finished packing up my stall, so we could walk home together. Did you hear? She asked, her tone full of awe. I knew this wasn't a real question, but the opening line to her latest piece of gossip. Today, I went to the hospital with a few colleagues from the Women's Federation to visit Comrade Wang Guiying. She really did have a miscarriage, a 5-month-old baby boy. Xiaohe managed to convey the tone of scandalized gossip with a completely deadpan face. Fan Jianjun made her chicken soup, and Su Aigua went and paid the hospital bill. It wasn't just us, even the hospital staff were amazed at how harmonious the 3 of them were together. One nurse said working here really opens your eyes, that this happy family act was just too much. I couldn't just stand by and let them make a laughingstock of our textile mill. We have so many female workers here, we can't let someone like Wang Guiying drag our reputation through the mud, she said, her face a picture of righteous indignation. And then what happened? I went with the comrades from the Women's Federation to see the factory director. We couldn't let a woman like Wang Guiying ruin the reputation of our female workers, so the director decided to have her clean the toilets. Just picturing the pretty widow Wang, dressed in work clothes and wearing a big mask to scrub toilets, made me laugh uncontrollably. The very next day, while widow Wang, Fan Jianjun, and Su Aigua were getting all lovey-dovey together at the hospital, a notice was posted on the textile mill's bulletin board. Fan Jianjun was fired, widow Wang was assigned to toilet duty, and while Su Aigua wasn't a mill employee, the mill still reported the situation to his own work unit. The entire textile mill's rumor mill was waiting to hear what would happen to Su Aigua. Xiaohe, would you like to invest and partner with me? I'm planning to start a trading company for wholesale clothing. I enthusiastically invited the management talent I saw in her to join me. Me, no, I love the textile mill. I plan to work here for life. I've been here since I graduated and never thought about leaving. She refused me without a second thought. Alright, but my offer stands anytime. Truth be told, I had another thought. If the mill ever restructured and Xiaohe came to me for a loan, wouldn't it be better for her to be the major shareholder herself? I was busy registering the company, contacting manufacturers, leasing a factory building to serve as a wholesale market, recruiting tenants to sign leases, and planning the market's layout, style, product categories, and custom regulations. In the midst of all that busyness, 3 years had somehow slipped by. My brother and sister-in-law got Linxing registered with the household registry. The textile mill had added more production lines, but the products weren't selling. While accompanying a few private business owners from Yangqing around a trade fair, I spotted our textile mill's booth. Xiaohe was now the deputy head of the sales department. Full of energy, he was delighted to see me and greeted me warmly. I also took the opportunity to recommend some spindles to a few of them. In the evening, they all gathered for a meal together. While I ate separately with Xiaohe, Xiaohe started gossiping with me again. The new factory manager went ahead and bought the new production line without any kind of vote. What can you do? They even had to hire several outside specialists just to operate the machinery, and in the end, the products still ended up sitting in the warehouse unsold. I was appointed as the manager of sales department 2 in a crisis. We had no choice, other factories weren't interested, so we had to look into orders from private companies. But I must say, the private sector leaders you brought with you seem quite capable. I remember from my past life that this was the beginning of her rise. Xiaohe has a knack for seizing every opportunity. You can definitely do this. I believe in you. I wasn't just offering encouragement, I was stating a fact. The factory has changed a lot over the past couple of years. While no one has quit like you did, quite a few people have started running small side businesses after work. Fan Jianjun got remarried, but not to Wang Guiying. He said that woman always had a foul smell about her. Now that's a juicy piece of gossip. Who's his latest victim? The daughter of some official, a woman in her 40s. They claim it's true love. Wang Guiying even made a scene at the wedding. She later had a son. But Fan Jianjun refuses to acknowledge the child. That woman called Wang Guiying a lowly toilet cleaner who wasn't good enough for him. Lin Yun, I have to ask you, what on earth is Fan Jianjun's redeeming quality? Listening to Xiaohe talk about him, the man sounded like a complete stranger. He's a real smooth talker. I wasn't so sure. What's his supposed talent? Anyway, is it true? Xiaohe's face suddenly lit up with curiosity. Give me a break. He's just a con man. And your aunt still married him. Yeah, Fan Jianjun is living the high life now. Auntie really brought this on herself. I wonder if she'll cry when she finally sees him for who he really is. It's just pitiful. Auntie was truly in tears, for she had discovered that the once capable Fan Jianjun was no longer up to the task. This turn of events left Auntie utterly distraught. The garden path, long untrodden by guests, and the rustic gate, now open just for you. Yet the moment it was unlatched, the guest found himself unable to enter. It wasn't that the path was unwelcoming, but rather that the guest was truly incapable. Then, my aunt went absolutely berserk and stormed over to curse out widow Wang. As a result, even I, a non-staff member just back at the factory to sort out family housing, got front row seats to this juicy, dramatic gossip. The scene drew a massive, tightly packed crowd. My aunt accused widow Wang of being a soul-sucking succubus who had drained Fan Jianjun dry. She cursed widow Wang for having a husband-killing fate, saying her late husband had been jinxed to death by her. Widow Wang, of course, was no pushover. She shot back that my aunt was a cradle robber, a 40-year-old woman in her prime who was the one who had truly exhausted Fan Jianjun. The insults were so vile I doubt they'd pass any content review. So let's just say a picture is worth 1,000 words, or in this case, 10,000 words are better left unsaid. The fallout was that within a couple of years, Auntie divorced Fan Jianjun, and he walked away with nothing. Widow Wang's brother, Aigua, died young. After that, no one dared to associate with her. Unable to have children and with no descendants, she died alone in the residential compound a few years later, thanks to the widespread gossip from the feud between Auntie and Widow Wang. That good-for-nothing became locally infamous as a complete and utter eunuch. The old couple went back to the village but couldn't be bothered to work hard anymore. After getting a taste of city life, who'd want to break their back tilling the fields, the two of them ended up moving back to the city, cramming into the tiny rented room Fan Jianjun had, but I knew they were up to no good. Sure enough, right after I bought a Santana, the whole family of 3 showed up at my door. Fan Jianjun knelt at the entrance of my workplace, pleading, "Xiaoyun, I was wrong. I know you're still single. Do you still have feelings for me? Has this guy forgotten the time my dad and his crew kicked him out?" In the early 1990s, people were still quite simple and honest. Passers-by, hearing this, began to advise, the original spouse is always the best. It's better to tear down a bridge than to break up a marriage. That's right, Xiaoyun, you and I still have a daughter together. Where is our daughter going to school now? I'll pick her up and drop her off every day from now on. Fan Jianjun seized the opportunity to press his advantage. I couldn't help but suspect that this helpful passerby was a plant he had arranged. It's so relaxing to remember that there were no surveillance cameras back then. The 90s were the best. He pointed at the passerby and yelled, "Mind your own damn business. This is the infamous eunuch Fan Jianjun from around these parts. Why don't you let your daughter marry him, huh?" He quoted a famous saying, "I can't stand people who don't know the full story but tell me to be more forgiving. Do you have any idea what I've been through? You should stay away from folks like that, because when lightning strikes them, it might just hit you too." Bang, I'm here, stabbed and still bleeding, and they walk over saying, "Hey, you need to be brave. Are you trying to get me killed?" The concerned bystander was completely flustered by my verbal barrage. He glanced at Fan Jianjun, spat, and said, "Well, I'll be damned. It's that shameless bastard. What rotten luck. Your daughter died a long time ago. You treated me so harshly during my confinement, and the child was already weak. Besides, you don't deserve to have children." I knew saying this was unfair to Lin Xing, but it didn't matter now. Fan Jianjun remained silent, but his old hag of a mother sneered, "That's bullshit. I've already looked into it. Your mother has been taking care of that child for you. She hasn't left the house in 6 months. Those are my brother's twins. You're overthinking it. Your family doesn't deserve children, doesn't deserve any descendants." I opened the car door and got in, ready to leave, but the old man suddenly threw himself onto the hood and wouldn't get up. "You're still considered a daughter-in-law of the Fan family. The least you can do is pay for our retirement. I'm not getting down until you give us the money. Go ahead and run me over if you've got the guts." So we've got a scam artist already. The security team was already standing by, and I had someone call the police as well. "So, how much are you looking for to retire on?" I wanted to see how much he'd dare to ask for. "From now on, you give us old folks $500 a month, and get Xiaojun a manager's position. If a little girl like you can be a manager, our Xiaojun will have no problem at all. We still need to get Xiaojun an apartment, a proper building, not a single-story house. Those old places are a real pain when you need to use the bathroom." The old man was leaning on my car hood, his face turned toward me, completely unaware of the police officers behind him. "It's a crackdown, buddy, and what if I refuse? If you don't give it to us, you can forget about having a peaceful life." The old woman glared at me fiercely. "If you don't pay up, I'm telling you, I'll sell you to the cripple in our village. He's just short of a wife, you know, beat his last ones to death. You'd better behave. Xiaojun can't have kids, and neither can you. You two live a quiet life together, and I'll have the cripple get you a son." The old man nodded like a toad as he spoke. "Officers, you all heard that, right? He threatened and extorted me, and he's a human trafficker. Clearly, that cripple is one too. No one passes up a golden opportunity to score points." The police quickly took away all 3 members of the Fan family. Fan Jianjun was locked up for a few months, but after his release, he was never seen again. The old man and woman were no good, petty thieves and pickpockets who were connected to human traffickers. During the crackdown, the pair were sentenced to 5 years. Sadly, the old man didn't make it until their release, passing away after about 2 years. When the old lady finally got out, she was also in poor health. My wholesale market had already made a fortune. Lin Xing, as driven and clever as in her past life, had her startup capital ready upon returning from studying abroad. She wouldn't have to wait until she was 40 to make her mark due to funding issues, as she had in her previous life. Some things had changed, while others remained the same. After Lin Xing made a name for herself, frequently appearing in newspapers and on TV, Fan Jianjun showed up again just as she achieved fame and success. He brought his mother along, her hair completely white, her face deeply wrinkled, and her body gaunt and skeletal. This time it was a TV station reporter, but in a past life, he was a self-media journalist. It was the same old playbook. Threatened to expose Lin Xing if she didn't support him. Vowing to drag her company's reputation through the mud, I had the recording ready the moment he arrived. Even when he tried to shake off the TV crew, I kept the camera rolling. I told you long ago that Lin Xing isn't your daughter, I said, smiling as I refused him while recording the video. Lin Yun, your word doesn't count. I've made inquiries. She is my daughter, and it was your mother who was always looking after her. Fan Jianjun remained composed even in front of the television tower reporter. Prove it then. Can you prove Lin Xing is your daughter? I asked, completely unfazed. Ms. Lin Xing and Mr. Fan here could take a paternity test, the television reporter interjected. But why on earth should I let my niece take a paternity test with a complete stranger? I have proof she's not Fan Jianjun's daughter. With that, I produced the household register. Look at the date of birth. This is my brother's daughter. She has absolutely nothing to do with your precious Fan family. Asking my niece to take a DNA test with you. What a low blow from your TV station. I wasn't scared. As a major advertising client of the station, some junior reporter trying to mess with me wouldn't get far. Seeing Lin Xing's birth date, they got flustered. Fan Jianjun threatened to get connections to back him up. So I played the recording of his threats on the big screen at my wholesale market. Airing it alongside the TV program, the reporter was fired for taking things out of context, and Fan Jianjun became such a pariah, constantly scorned and spat on, that he couldn't stay in town. He knelt at the entrance of his daughter's workplace, weeping and pleading for her forgiveness, saying that blood is thicker than water and begging her to take a paternity test with him. I sent Lin Xing abroad, while I hired a bunch of trolls to spread the story online and among his acquaintances. Relentlessly claiming that he had coasted through life relying on women, I even personally photoshopped a picture of his ruined manhood, which went viral and set the internet ablaze. Because of the capital I initially lent her, Xiao He became a major shareholder in our textile mill. Director he now commands even greater respect in our local community. Her personal testimony effortlessly dismantled Fan Jianjun's attempt at moral coercion. In that simpler time, Fan Jianjun never reached the age he had in his previous life, starving to death in a poor, filthy little rented room. The wheel of life rolls ever onward. Lin Xing contributed his efforts to the development of our nation's computer science, while I, for my part, am grateful for an early retirement, allowing me to accompany my parents and see the magnificent landscapes of our motherland. Story 2. I lost my hair saving Ji Zhua. At the engagement banquet, his childhood sweetheart, Su Yunshu, publicly snatched off my wig. She giggled and said, Sister Sia's hair is a badge of honor for shielding Brother Ji from misfortune. Everyone should see it. Gasps and hushed whispers rippled through the room of guests. The child made a face and called me an ugly monster from Ultraman. Even my would-be mother-in-law said I was a toad lusting after a swan's flesh. I looked at Ji Zhua, but he merely held his wine glass, his expression detached. Sia is too kind-hearted to bother with them. In a daze, I walked to the rooftop and jumped. When I opened my eyes, I had gone back 1 hour before I saved Ji Zhua. 1. Sis Sia, Brother Ji is in trouble. Su Yunshu cried out. The warehouse in the west of the city is on fire. He ran in to grab some documents and hasn't come out yet. Oh, I replied calmly. Oh, see you. Is that all you have to say? That's your fiancé. Su Yunshu's voice rose in pitch. I gave a light chuckle and walked towards the wardrobe. Pack your things. Why should I worry about someone who can't die? In my past life, I charged into the fire like a madman. The wet coat shielded him, but his back and hair were completely burned. I was left unrecognizable and spent 3 months in the hospital. Ji Zhua only visited once. He brought Su Yunshu with him. He frowned deeply. See you. Why were you so reckless? The documents weren't that important. Hiding behind him, Su Yunshu said timidly, I'm so sorry. See you. It's all my fault. At the engagement party, Su Yunshu personally ripped my wig off. My bare scalp was exposed in front of all the guests. Mrs. Ji cursed at me. You toad. The Ji family can't bear this shame. Even the children called me a monster. Ji Zhua held a wine glass, his expression detached. Sia is kind-hearted. She won't hold a grudge, he said. Yes, I am kind. So kind that I leapt from the 20th floor. Su Sia, are you even listening to me? If you don't go now, Brother Ji will die, Su Yunshu shrieked. I folded the last piece of clothing and zipped up the suitcase. Su Yunshu, I cut her off. If you're so worried, why don't you go save him yourself? Dead silence fell on the other end of the line. I can just picture the look of shock and venom on her face. I'm just a helpless woman, how could I go to a fire? She started with that routine again, helpless woman, shut up. I hung up, block her, block Jijua, peace and quiet at last. I pulled my suitcase along, without a trace of nostalgia. I walked out of the villa we had shared for 3 years. Downstairs, a black Bentley came to a stop, the car window rolled down, revealing a face that was sharp and aloof. Shinmachan, Jijua's business arch-rival. In my past life, I'd only ever seen him in financial news. His gaze swept over me, then my suitcase. His thin lips parted, running away from home. The voice was cool and detached. It's just a breakup, I replied flatly. He raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. Where to? I'll give you a ride, anywhere, just not here. The driver got out and helped me with my luggage. The car smoothly pulled onto the highway. The car radio was broadcasting the news. A massive fire has broken out at the Hanyuan warehouse in the west of the city. The blaze is intense, and casualties are unknown. Mr. Jijua, president of the G Group, is reported to be inside the warehouse. I turned my head to look out the window. The cityscape rushed past. In my past life, I rescued Jijua. He inhaled thick smoke and needed a week to recover. In this life, without me, what will become of him? A faint smile touched my lips. Shinmachan suddenly spoke up. You seem quite pleased. I turned to meet his probing gaze. I admitted frankly. My ex-boyfriend might be burned to death. Isn't that worth celebrating? Shinmachan gave me a long, deep look. He said nothing. The car pulled up in front of the 5-star hotel. Shinmachan handed over a key card. Get settled in first. If you need anything, call this number. It was a business card, bearing nothing but a string of digits. Why are you helping me? I just don't like Jijua. He answered matter-of-factly. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's a reason I can accept. I entered the lobby with my key card. The presidential suite. The first thing I did, take a long, hot bath. In the rising steam, the mirror reflected skin that was flawless, a head of jet black, lustrous hair. It felt like a lifetime ago. Thank goodness, there's still time for everything. I had been soaking for a long time. My phone began to vibrate frantically. Unknown number. I answered. It was Jijua's mother, her voice hysterical. Susia, where the hell have you been? Zhou rushed into a fire for you, and now he's missing. You jinx. I frowned. For me, in our last life, he clearly said it was for the documents. Auntie, you're mistaken. We've broken up. Whether he lives or dies is none of my concern. You heartless wretch. The G family must have been blind. If anything happens to Ajwa, I will make you pay. She was screaming curses. I hung up the phone. I slipped into my robe and poured a glass of red wine. Below, the city streets pulsed with traffic, and neon lights shimmered. Now, this is living, not a hospital bed. Watching myself waste away day after day, the doorbell woke me the next morning. I opened the door. Jijua was standing there, completely unharmed. His face was pale, his eyes bloodshot. He looked at me with a gaze that could devour me whole. Behind him stood Su Yunshu, weeping pitifully, and Ji's mother, her face a mask of fury. Susia, you've really outdone yourself this time. Mrs. Ji was the first to lash out. A slap came flying toward me. I dodged to the side. She missed. Nearly stumbling and falling, Jijua caught her. How dare you dodge, Mrs. Ji trembled with rage. I looked at her coldly. What gives you the right to hit me? What gives me the right? The fact that you nearly got my son killed in that fire. Did I force him to go in there? I shot back. Mrs. Ji was left speechless. Jijua finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Sia, why didn't you answer your phone? His expression was complicated. Didn't feel like it, I said. Leaning lazily against the doorframe, do you have any idea how worried I was? I thought something had happened to you. He stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I took a step back to avoid it. Worried about me? Shouldn't you be the one in the fire, waiting for me to rescue you? Too, the air froze. Jijua stared at me intently, searching my face for any sign of weakness. Behind him, Mrs. Ji and Su Yunshu clearly didn't understand what was going on. Ajwa, why waste your breath on her? A cold-hearted woman like this isn't worthy of you. Mrs. Ji continued to rant. Su Yunshu spoke up softly. Brother Ji, please don't be angry. Sister Sia might have just had a momentary lapse in judgment. As she spoke, she tugged at Jijua's arm with an intimate familiarity. In my past life, I simply couldn't stand the sight of her acting like that. We got into an argument, and Jijua accused me of being childish. Now, I just find it all rather amusing. Jijua, I broke the silence. Since you're fine, take your mother and your childhood sweetheart and get out of my sight. I don't want to see any of you again. Sia, Jijua's voice was urgent. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I moved to close the door. He shoved his hand against the door to stop it. His strength was astonishing. Susia, what do you want from me? What do I want? I want all you disgusting people to stay the hell away from me. I want you to get lost, I said coldly. A cool, detached voice sounded from behind. Mr. G, is it really appropriate to bring people to block my friend's door first thing in the morning? Shinmachan had appeared at some point. He wore only a silk robe. The collar was slightly open. His hair was damp. The look of someone just waking up. He casually rested his hand on my shoulder, an intimate gesture. Jijua's gaze turned vicious in an instant, fixed intently on Shinmachan's hand on my shoulder. Shinmachan, what are you doing here? Why can't I be here? Shinmachan chuckled softly. He looked down at me, his gaze gentle. Darling, these flies are being too noisy. Should I have security escort them out? Darling, I almost laughed out loud. Shinmachan's acting is so good. It's a shame he's not winning an Oscar. But I played along, leaning into his embrace. Alright, Jijua's expression had gone beyond mere displeasure. He looked utterly unsteady on his feet. Susia, you and him, when did it start? He spat through gritted teeth. Was it when you and Su Yunshu went to that private observatory to watch the meteor shower? Or was it when I ended up in the hospital with a bleeding ulcer from drinking on your behalf, and you were off celebrating her birthday? With every word I uttered, Jijua's face grew a shade paler. All of that happened in a past life. I will use these dark secrets he's kept buried, and slice him apart, piece by piece. His mouth opened and closed. He couldn't explain a thing, because it was all true. Jijua, I looked up, meeting his gaze directly. We were over a long time ago, the moment you chose Su Yunshu, again and again. With that, I turned away from him. To Shinmachan, I said, I'm tired. Shinmachan understood. He put his arm around my shoulders. The door slammed shut with a loud bang. Outside the door, Mrs. G's furious curses, Su Yunshu's sobs. Inside, Shinmachan and I exchanged a knowing smile. Thanks, I said. Don't mention it. Shinmachan let go of my hand and stepped back, putting distance between us. Just acting. He paused, then added, but seeing the look on Jijua's face, like he'd just eaten shit, was seriously satisfying. 3. Jijua didn't bother me again. I knew he wouldn't just let it go. It will only make me more paranoid. I stayed in a hotel for 3 days. Shinmachan found me a new apartment. The location is great, and the security is top-notch. On moving day, he came to pick me up himself. So, what are your plans for the future? He asked from the driver's seat. Find a job and live a good life. In my past life, for Jijua, I gave up my career and willingly became the woman behind him. Thinking back on it now, it was utterly foolish. My company still has an opening for a vice president. Interested? Shinmachan made an enticing offer. I looked at him, somewhat surprised. Mr. Shin, we're not family or old friends. There's no need to help me like this, as I've said. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. He looked straight ahead, his tone flat. And, I admire your talent. My talent, in my past life, to help Jijua's company go public, I pulled countless all-nighters. The proposal I crafted was hailed as a classic in the industry. Everyone thought it was Jijua's doing. How did you know? I asked. I have my sources, Shinmachan said, offering no further explanation. This man was even more inscrutable than I had imagined. I didn't agree right away. I just said I'd think about it. That evening, I got a call from my mother. See you. What on earth is going on between you and Ajwa? His mother called me today and said some awful things. She said you have no shame and are fooling around with other men. My mother's voice was full of concern. Mom, we broke up. Broke up? How could that happen out of the blue? Was it a misunderstanding? See you, Ajwa is a good man. Don't be so willful. In the eyes of all the elders, Jijua comes from a good family, is handsome, and is capable. The golden boy, the ultimate catch everyone wants to marry. I'm the one who's punching above my weight by getting engaged to him. I used to think the same way in my past life. Mom, I know him better than you do, I said, my voice turning cold. Stay out of this. I'll handle my own affairs. After hanging up the phone, I felt agitated. This is Jijua's way of doing things. Since it didn't work on me, he started targeting the people around me. Just as I thought, not long after, my college friend Lin Man sent a message. See you. Check your WeChat moments. Quick. I opened the app. The latest post was from Su Yunshu. In the photo, she was sitting on a hospital bed, wearing a white dress, and 4 was in her arm. Her face was pale. She looked utterly pitiful. Caption, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have upset Sister Sia and caused her to fight with Brother G. Now Brother G hasn't slept for days taking care of me, and I feel so terrible. The entire row of comments below was sympathizing with her and blaming me. Is Su Sia that vicious? Her fiancé was almost in an accident, and she didn't even check on him. Then took her anger out on Yunshu. Exactly, Yunshu is just too kind. That's why she gets bullied by her. Mr. G must have had the worst luck in the world to end up with a fiancé like that. Jijua replied under that post with a single word, good girl. That one word spoke volumes. I let out a cold laugh and tossed my phone aside. Jijua, do you really think a stunt like this will make me come crawling back? The next day, I agreed to Shinmochan's offer and started working at his company. I tackled several long-neglected messes with swift and decisive action. I quickly established myself at the company. Shinmochan seemed to be growing more and more appreciative of me. We often worked late and had meals together. In the eyes of our colleagues, our relationship had become something out of the ordinary. That evening, we had just wrapped up a video conference. Shinmochan suggested we go for a drink. Jijua has been on a frantic buying spree, trying to acquire a small new energy company. Shinmochan mentioned casually, swirling his glass, that company was your father's life's work, wasn't it? My grip on the cup tightened. The year I graduated from university, my father's company went bankrupt when its funding chain broke. The shock of it left my father bedridden. In a past life, Jijua had done the very same thing. He bought my father's company and gave it to me as a gift. He begged for my forgiveness. He said, Sia, look, I got back the thing your father valued most. From now on, let's live a good life together and stop all this fighting. I was utterly moved at the time. I thought he still had feelings for me. Looking back, it was just another form of his charity and control. He's trying to use this to force me back. I said, what do you think? Shinmochan looked at me. It's just a shell company. If he wants it, he can have it. I took a sip of the liquor, the fiery liquid sliding down my throat. Shinmochan smiled. That's bold. We talked for a long time. He was very witty. Chatting with him was a real pleasure. It was almost midnight when we left the bar. Shinmochan insisted on seeing me home, outside my apartment building. As I was about to get out of the car, he suddenly called out to me, Susia. I turned my head. He leaned in. A warm breath brushed against my ear. I instinctively flinched, but he only tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. Your hair is beautiful, he said. My heart skipped a beat. Just then, blinding headlights cut through the darkness. A familiar Maybach pulled up beside our car. Jijua got out of the car, his face dark and stormy. He rushed over in a few strides, yanked the car door open, and dragged me out. Susia, get down here this instant. His grip on my wrist was painfully tight. Jijua, have you lost your mind? I struggled against him. Shinmochan got out of the car and stepped in front of me, shielding me with his body. Mr. G, I must ask you to show some respect. Shinmochan's voice was icy. Respect? You're in a car with my fiancé in the middle of the night, all handsy, and you expect my respect? Jijua let out a bitter, angry laugh. We've already broken up, I said coldly, peeking out from behind Shinmochan to remind him. I never agreed to that. Jijua roared, his eyes bloodshot. Sia, come home with me. Stop making a scene. He tried to grab me again, but Shinmochan stepped in to stop him. Two equally formidable men stood in a tense standoff in the dead of night, beneath the apartment building. An aura of immense power radiated from them. Jijua, Shinmochan began, his voice firm. Sia is now my vice president, and also my friend. I won't tolerate any harassment towards her. Your friend, Jijua sneered. Shinmochan, don't think I don't know what you're up to. You just want to use her against me, don't you? You're overthinking it, President G. Shinmochan replied without a change in expression. I don't need to use a woman to deal with you. Those words undoubtedly hit Jijua where it hurt. Fine, just fine. Jijua pointed at me, then at Shinmochan. Susia, just you wait, you'll regret this. He spat out the threat, turned, and scrambled into his car before speeding off. The whole farce had finally come to an end. He won't let this go, Shinmochan said, watching the direction Jijua had left. I know, I replied, rubbing my reddened wrist. Thank you, let me walk you up. The elevator felt charged with a certain tension. At the door, I thanked him again. He suddenly asked, does what he just said bother you? I paused for a moment before realizing which remark he meant, using me to deal with him. I smiled. Mr. Shen, do I look like someone who's that easy to use? He smiled too. No, you don't. However, he paused, his gaze turning profound. What if I said I really do intend to use you? I looked at him and said nothing. I want to use you, he said, drawing closer until our breaths mingled. Stay by my side. His voice was low and magnetic. My heart began to race, completely out of control. In my past life, every single heartbeat of mine was for Jijua alone. But now, this man before me, with just a few words, he has thrown me completely off balance. I don't know how to react. He merely let out a soft chuckle and took a step back. "Good night." He turned and walked away, leaving me with a dashing silhouette. I leaned against the door, taking a long time to calm my emotions. Shinmochan, just what is he trying to do? Jijua was indeed nowhere to be seen in the following days, yet he made his presence known in another way. News of his acquisition of my father's company was splashed across the media. The reports painted him as a domineering yet devoted CEO. To win back my lover, I spared no expense, and I, naturally, became the woman who was spoiled, arrogant, and didn't know what was good for her. In an instant, I became the laughingstock of the entire city. The way my colleagues at work looked at me changed completely. All sorts of rumors and gossip. That day, I was handling documents in the office when Lin Man called. "Sia, check the trending topics, quick." I opened Weibo. My name was glaringly at the top of the hot search list. #Susia, the real-life gold digger hashtag. I clicked in and found a lengthy article. The article, citing an insider, meticulously dissected my social climbing history. It claimed I came from an ordinary background and latched onto Jijua solely by relying on my pretty face. They accused me of being insatiably greedy, claiming I was involved with other men while I was in a relationship with Jijua. They said I was cunning and scheming, going so far as to stage a dramatic rescue from a fire just to pressure him into marriage. But the plan backfired. I ended up getting hurt and then turned around and blamed Jijua for it. The article was written in vivid, sensational detail, complete with a few blurry photos. One is a photo of Shinmochan and me outside the bar, another is a profile shot of me in the hospital, my head wrapped in bandages. Then there's a picture of Jijua and me together. I'm beaming, while he looks completely expressionless. The article instantly went viral online. The comments section was a cesspool. "Holy crap, this woman is absolutely vile. She's the textbook definition of a gold-digging manipulator. My heart aches for Mr. G. Getting entangled with a woman like that is just the worst possible luck. She looks perfectly decent on the outside. So how can she be so wicked on the inside?" Reading those vicious comments sent a chill right through me. I know this is the work of Jijua and Suyunshu. They're out to ruin me. In my past life, they destroyed my looks and my dignity. In this life, they aim to destroy my reputation and my future. My grip on the phone tightened, my knuckles turning white. The office door was knocked on. Shinmochan walked in. He saw my ashen face and what was on the phone screen. His eyes instantly turned cold. "Don't look at these." He took my phone away. "They did this," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "I know." He walked over, crouched down in front of me, and met my gaze. "Sia, look at me." I looked up and met his fathomless gaze. "Trust me," he said, "I can handle this." There was a reassuring strength in his voice. The panic and anger within me gradually subsided. I nodded. "All right," I said, choosing to trust him. 6. Shinmochan moved swiftly. In less than half a day, the trending topic was taken down. That lengthy post was also scrubbed from the entire internet. Immediately after, the legal department of Shinmochan's company, acting on my behalf, sent cease and desist letters to the marketing accounts that first published the article and several bloggers who maliciously spread it. A series of moves, executed with fluid grace and decisive efficiency. The tide of public opinion online shifted rapidly. "See, I told you there'd be a twist. The cost of spreading lies is way too low these days. We stand with Ms. Sue in defending her rights. Make those online trolls pay the price. Mr. Shin is so bold, standing up for his wife like a true champ. I'm totally here for it." The phrase "standing up for his wife" made my cheeks burn. After work, Shinmochan asked me out to dinner. The location was a very intimate French restaurant. "Thank you," I said to him, with complete sincerity. "I told you I would handle it," he said, elegantly cutting my steak for me. "I just never thought Jijua could be so despicable." "He's not despicable," Shinmochan said, pushing the plate of cut steak toward me. "He's scared, afraid. He's afraid of losing you." Shinmochan looked up, his gaze intense as it met mine. "That's why he resorted to such a childish and extreme method, trying to force you back to his side." I fell silent. Perhaps Shinmochan was right. In my past life, Jijua was aloof and imperious. He summoned me at his whim and dismissed me just as easily, because he was certain I could never leave him. But in this life, Jijua has lost that certainty. He's not himself anymore. "Sia," Shinmochan suddenly spoke up. "Do you still love him?" I was stunned. Do I still love Jijua? It was a question I had never asked myself. In my past life, I loved him so much I would have died for him. That love was bone deep, unforgettable. But that love, along with the great fire, the humiliation, and that final leap was utterly worn away to nothing. All that remained was hatred, a towering, all-consuming hatred. I don't love you anymore, I said, shaking my head, my voice resolute. I stopped loving you the moment I decided not to run into that fire. Shinmochan smiled, as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. That's good. We had a very pleasant meal. On the way back, I got a call from Lin Man. Sia. Guess who I ran into today? She said excitedly. Who is it? Suyunshu. Can you believe it? She actually tried to bribe me. She wanted me to help you arrange a meeting with Jijua, to create the illusion that you two are getting back together. I frowned, and she said she'd give me $1 million if I helped. So what did you say? I gave her a piece of my mind, of course, and then threw my coffee in her face. Who does she think I am? Lin Man fumed. I couldn't help but laugh. Good for you. Absolutely. But see you. I can't shake this feeling. There's something off about Suyunshu too. What do you mean? It was the way she looked at me, her tone of voice when she said all that. It was as if she knew what was going to happen. She said Jijua would eventually come back to you, that you two are meant to be, and that Shinmochan is just a passing chapter. My heart sank. Could it be that Suyunshu has also been reborn? The thought struck my mind like a bolt of lightning. If she's been reborn too, then everything makes sense. That's why she always knows exactly how to hit me where it hurts. Why does she always manage to perfectly sabotage the last shred of warmth between Jijua and me? Why does she go to such lengths to smear my name, all while pushing me and Jijua together? Because she knows that in our past life, even though Jijua was cold towards me, he ultimately chose to become engaged to me. She refused to accept it, so she came back, reborn, determined to take everything from me. She wanted Jijua to belong to her, completely and utterly, and the best way to do that was to turn Jijua and me against each other first. Then she swoops in, playing the savior to comfort Jijua and make him give up on me for good. What a classic retreat in order to advance maneuver. Suyunshu, you are something else. I'll give you that. See you. See you. Are you listening? Lin Man's voice pulled me back to reality. I'm listening. Are you okay? You seem a bit off to me. I'm fine. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. Man, thank you for telling me this. Hey, we're like family. After hanging up the phone, I gazed out the window. The night was deep and dark, mirroring the state of my heart. 7. What's wrong? Shinmochan beside me noticed my strange behavior. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to tell him my suspicion. Shinmochan. What if I told you that Jijua and Suyunshu, like me, have been reborn? Would you believe me? He froze, then, a flicker of astonishment passed through his eyes, but calm quickly returned. I believe you. His reaction was far calmer than I had imagined. Why? Because of you. He looked at me, his gaze earnest. You're nothing like the Susia I've heard about. A person doesn't change that much unless they've been through something truly life-altering. I gave a bitter laugh. Exactly. Having died once, how could I possibly stay the same? He didn't press me about my past life. Instead, he reached out and gently covered my hand with his. Don't be afraid, he said. No matter what they try to do, I'll be right here with you. His hand was warm, his palm dry. A wave of warmth flowed from the back of his hand, straight into my heart. Shinmochan. I looked at him. Why are you so good to me? I had already asked this question once before, last time. He said it was to deal with Jijua. This time, he fell silent for a long while, so long that I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, he finally spoke slowly, his voice low. Because, in my past life, I owed you. I snapped my head up, staring at him in disbelief. You, could it be? He too, that's right. He nodded, as if reading my mind. I've been reborn as well. My mind went completely blank. Jijua, Suyunshu, Shinmochan. All 4 of us have actually been reborn. What on earth is going on? Is the universe not satisfied with how chaotic my life already is? I was also at Jijua's engagement party in our previous life. Shinmochan's voice pulled me out of my shock. I saw Suyunshu snatch your wig off. I saw the Ji family mock and ridicule you. I saw Jijua's cold indifference. I saw you leave, utterly broken. And then, I followed you. I saw you walk up to the rooftop. I saw you take that leap. His voice was soft. Yet it hit me like a sledgehammer, shattering my heart. So he was there when I died. So, beyond all the mockery and indifference, there was another pair of eyes, silently watching over me. I tried to save you, but I was too late, he said, his voice thick with regret and anguish. The moment you fell, I don't know what I was thinking, but I jumped right after you. I was completely stunned. He actually did that for me. So, when I opened my eyes again and found myself back here, I swore to myself that I would never, ever let you come to harm again. He looked at me, his eyes filled with an unyielding depth of affection and remorse. Sia, I'm sorry, in our past life, I couldn't save you. This time, let me be the one to protect you, okay? I could no longer hold back my tears, and they streamed from my eyes. I didn't know what to say, I could only nod my head emphatically. He pulled me into his arms and held me tight, as if he wanted to meld me into his very being. Don't cry. He whispered in my ear, from now on, I'm here for you. I sobbed uncontrollably in his arms. I wept for the foolishness and injustice of my past life. I wept for the fortune and profound gratitude of this life. It turned out that in my moment of deepest despair, there are still people willing to risk everything for me. Shin-Machin, thank you for coming back here. 2-8. We learned each other's deepest secret. My relationship with Shin-Machin grew much closer. We started dating like a real couple, going out for meals, watching movies. He remembers all my likes and dislikes, no cilantro, loves a hot Americano, and is allergic to mangoes. When it's that time of the month, he'll have brown sugar tea and a heating pad ready for me. He takes me to the amusement park, ride the carousel with me, the one I've always wanted to ride but never had anyone to share it with. These little, scattered kindnesses, like a warm, gentle net, wrapping me up securely. My heart, which had been riddled with holes because of Jijua, too, was slowly healing within this web of support. Meanwhile, Jijua and Suyunshu were not idle. Seeing that the court of public opinion held no sway over me, they resorted to new tactics. Jijua started showing up in my life with alarming frequency. He would wait for me outside my office building, holding a huge bouquet of roses. He bribed the security guard at my apartment building to sneak upstairs and knock on my door. He showered me with all sorts of expensive gifts, jewelry, handbags, sports cars. All the things I longed for in vain in a past life. Now, he offers them to me on a silver platter, yet, all I feel is disgust. I had security escort him out. I instructed the front desk to refuse all his deliveries. I threw the gift he sent me straight into the trash, unopened. The more he pestered me, the more disgusted I felt. Meanwhile, Suyunshu continued to play her part as the understanding, innocent little flower. She would show up the moment Jijua was rejected by me. Ready to comfort him and keep him company, she would post some pointed, suggestive messages on her social media feed. Loving someone is so hard, watching him grieve for another woman who isn't worth it. My heart aches too. It's okay, even if the whole world turns its back on you, I'll still be by your side. Her performance was a resounding success. Jijua seemed genuinely moved by her. They began appearing together at various public events. The media also started reporting on them. They said Jijua had finally seen the light and left the gold digger, Susia. He chose his kind childhood sweetheart, Suyunshu. Online, waves of well wishes for them kept pouring in. Lin Man called me, fuming. Sia, have you seen it? That despicable pair, Jijua and Suyunshu, are practically becoming the nation's favorite couple now. It makes my blood boil. Yet, I remained perfectly calm. Good for them. They're perfect for each other. Let them stay together and spare everyone else the trouble. You're not even a little bit angry. Why would I be? I hope they get married ASAP and are stuck with each other for all eternity. I genuinely don't care anymore. Shin-Machin is the one who fills my world now. Jijua is nothing more than an irrelevant part of my past. That day, Shin-Machin took me to a business cocktail reception. At the event, we inevitably ran into Jijua and Suyunshu. Their eyes met, and sparks flew. Suyunshu clung to Jijua's arm, her face beaming with a sweet smile. Sister Sia, it's been a long time. Indeed, I said, linking arms with Shin-Machin and smiling even more radiantly than her. Seeing you and President Ji so deeply in love puts my mind at ease. Suyunshu's smile froze for a moment. Jijua's gaze, however, remained fixed on me, inscrutable and complex. Sia, he began, his voice hoarse, can we talk in private? No, I refused outright. Shin-Machin spoke up, Mr. G, can't you see C doesn't want to talk to you? Shin-Machin, this is between her and me, stay out of it. Jijua's tone was sharp and dismissive. Her business is my business, Shin-Machin retorted. Refusing to back down, the atmosphere instantly turned tense and hostile. People nearby looked over, clearly ready to enjoy the drama. Seeing the situation, Suyunshu quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Brother G, let it go. Let's go over and say hello to Mr. Lee. She tried to pull Jijua away, but he stood his ground, unmoving. He stared at me, his eyes bloodshot. Susia, do you have to be so heartless? Heartless. I let out a bitter laugh, as if I'd just heard the most absurd joke. Jijua, what right do you have to talk to me about heartlessness? Where were you when your mother was berating me to my face? Where were you when your childhood sweetheart was humiliating me in public? And where were you when I was lying in the hospital, fighting for my life? He was left speechless by my questions. who are you putting on this whole heartfelt act for? Is it to move yourself, or just to disgust me? My words were like daggers, plunging straight into his heart. The color drained from his face, inch by inch. Sia, I know I was wrong, please, give me another chance. His tone was almost pleading. Seeing him in such a pitiful state brought me no satisfaction, only an endless, profound sorrow remained. If you knew it would come to this, why did you act that way in the first place? Jijua, I said, I already gave you chances. When you chose to go to the observatory with Su Yunshu, when you chose to celebrate her birthday with her, when you chose to turn a blind eye to my pain, you used up every last one of them. Now, we're even. No, he shook his head, his composure fraying. You still owe me a life. I was stunned. In our past life, I was the one who pulled you from the fire. You owe me. I looked at him, and suddenly, it all made sense. So that's what he's been hung up on all this time. He thinks I owe him a life. So, it's only right that I go back to him. How ridiculous, Jijua, I said, enunciating each word. I already gave that life back to you when I jumped from the 20th floor. His pupils contracted sharply. It was as if all the strength had been drained from his body. He staggered back a step. Su Yunshu quickly rushed to support him. Brother Ji, are you alright? I didn't look at them anymore. Taking Shinmochan's arm, I turned and walked away. Behind me, Jijua's agonized roar echoed, but I didn't look back. Not even once. 9. After that cocktail party, Jijua seemed to have gone completely mad. He began to act in a near-destructive manner, to exact revenge on Shinmochan and me. He leveraged the Ji family's connections to suppress Shinmochan's company at every turn. They're poaching our clients, headhunting our staff, and spreading damaging rumors about the company. Shinmochan's company was suddenly plunged into an unprecedented crisis. Shareholders grew restless. The stock price plummeted. I knew Jijua was using these tactics to force Shinmochan to give me up. He thought that without Shinmochan's protection, I'd be left with nowhere to turn, that I'd have no choice but to crawl back to him. How naive he was. I took the initiative to find Shinmochan and said to him, let me handle this. He looked at me, his eyes filled with concern, but even more so with trust. All right. I mobilized all my connections and resources and began to fight back. I had met a lot of people through my association with Jijua. I've also amassed a trove of secrets no one else knows. Now, all of that has become my sharpest weapon. My first move was to turn a key executive at Jijua Company. I obtained evidence of their internal financial vulnerabilities and some shady backroom deals. Then, I anonymously handed over this evidence to the Economic Crime Investigation Unit and the media. It was like a single stone causing 1,000 ripples. The G Group was instantly thrust into the eye of the storm. The tax authorities launched an investigation. Business partners terminated their contracts one after another. The stock price plummeted. Jijua is completely overwhelmed and can't even handle his own affairs. He has no energy left to deal with us. The crisis at Shinmochan's company has been resolved. We won, and it was a decisive victory. At the victory celebration, everyone was in high spirits. Only Shinmochan seemed preoccupied. Lost in his own thoughts, I pulled him aside onto the balcony. What's wrong? Something bothering you? He looked at me, as if on the verge of speaking but then thought better of it. See you. Have you ever stopped to wonder why Jijua has suddenly become so unhinged? I was taken aback for a moment. You're right, even if it's for revenge. His methods are far too extreme. It's practically a Pyrrhic victory. This is completely unlike the action of a rational businessman. He seems to be afraid of something, Shinmochan said, or rather, he's racing against something, racing against time. A bad feeling suddenly dawned on me. Just then, my phone rang. It was Lin Man. Her voice was choked with tears. Sia, it's terrible. Come quick. Su Yunshu, she's kidnapped your mother. My mind went blank with a sudden, deafening buzz. Su Yunshu, how dare she? What did she say? My voice was trembling. She said for you to go alone to the abandoned factory on the west side of town. Trade yourself for your mother. She also said, Lin Man choked back a sob. She said this is what you owe her. She's going to make you taste the suffering she endured in her past life. Her past life. A dreadful thought began to take shape in my mind. How did Su Yunshu die in her past life? I never cared to find out. All I know is that after I died, Jijua was utterly grief-stricken. And then, what happened next? My memory just cuts off at the moment I jumped from that high-rise. Saya, Shinmochan grasped my cold hand. Don't be afraid, I'll go with you. No, I shook my head. She told me to go alone. I can't let you go into danger alone, Shinmochan, I said, looking at him with a determined gaze. This is a personal score between her and me. I have to settle it myself. Besides, I took a deep breath. I have a feeling, tonight, Everything will finally be settled. 10. An abandoned factory, dark and damp. The air was thick with the smell of rust and dust. I walked in alone. In the center of the factory, my mother was tied to a chair. A cloth was stuffed in her mouth. Her face was a mask of terror. Suyunshu stood beside her. In her hand was a dagger. It was pressed against my mother's neck. She saw me and smiled, a wild, twisted smile. Susia, you're finally here. Let my mother go, I said coldly. Let her go. Sure. Suyunshu patted my mother's cheek with the flat of the dagger blade. Get on your knees and beg me. I looked into my mother's tear-filled eyes. Without a moment's hesitation, I knelt down. I'm begging you. Let her go. Ha ha ha. Suyunshu roared with laughter, tears streaming from her eyes. Susia, look at you now. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this day? In my past life, you stole my brother G from me. Now that I've been reborn, I swear I'll make you pay in blood. I will make sure you're abandoned by all and utterly disgraced. I will make you taste what it's like to have absolutely nothing. She was hysterical, the dagger in her hand pressed against my mother's neck, drawing a thin line of blood. My mother let out a muffled groan of pain. My heart ached as if pierced by a needle. Suyunshu, what the hell do you want? What do I want? Her smile vanished, replaced by a venomous glare. I want you dead. I'm going to make you suffer just like I did in my past life. Tied up right here and burned alive, burned to death. I was stunned. What do you mean? You still don't know, do you? She gave a sinister smile. In our past life, after you jumped from the building, Brother G went mad. He believed you had caused your own death, so he tied me up here, set the place on fire, and forced me to be buried with you. He lit the fire with his own hands, then stood outside, watching coldly as I struggled, screamed, and was finally reduced to ashes in the sea of flames. He said, "This is what I owe you." I stared at her in shock, utterly speechless. So, that's how my past life ended. Jijua. He actually. So, Suyunshu's eyes grew wild and obsessive. This time, I'm back. I'm going to make him make the same choice all over again. As she spoke, she took out her phone and dialed a number. It was Jijua's. Brother G. Her voice instantly turned frail and helpless. Save me, Siyujia and I have been kidnapped. We're at the abandoned factory in the west of the city. They're going to burn us alive. She hung up the phone and looked at me with a smug expression. Susia, tell me, who do you think he'll come to save this time? I didn't answer. I already knew. Not long after, the factory door was kicked in. Jijua burst inside. He froze at the sight before him. Brother G. Suyunshu cried out. Jijua's gaze swept back and forth between me, my mother, and Suyunshu. His face was etched with unprecedented agony and inner turmoil. Jijua, Suyunshu sobbed. Come save me, quick. This place is going to blow any second. As she spoke, she pressed a button on the remote in her hand. A steady, rhythmic ticking echoed from all around the factory. It was a timer. Jijua, I finally spoke, my voice unnervingly calm. You should leave. His head snapped toward me. Take my mother and go. What happens here is none of your concern. No, he roared. Sia, I'm not leaving. Brother G. Suyunshu shrieked. Come here. Have you forgotten how you treated me in our past life? You promised you'd make it up to me in this one. Jijua's body began to tremble violently. He looked at Suyunshu, then at me. His eyes were bloodshot. Choose. Suyunshu screamed hysterically. Jijua, choose. Today, you can only take one of us. Time ticked by second. The ticking sound grew faster and more frantic. Sweat poured down Jijua's face. He looked at me, his lips parting as if he wanted to say something. But at that very moment, the other door of the factory was smashed open from the outside. Shinmachan charged in, leading a large group of people. Sia, the moment he saw me, his eyes instantly turned fierce. His men swiftly subdued the frenzied Suyunshu and rescued my mother. Meanwhile, he rushed to my side in an instant and held me tightly in his arms. It's over now. You're safe, he kept reassuring me. I leaned against his chest, gazing at the utterly broken figure in the distance, a man who felt abandoned by the entire world. Jijua. In the end, he still couldn't make a choice, or rather, the moment he hesitated, he had already made his choice. He chose to give up. He gave up on me, and on Suyunshu, too. He chose neither of us. The bomb was defused. Suyunshu was taken away by the police. The farce has finally come to an end. I looked at Jijua. He stood there alone, like a solitary statue. Shinmachan put his arm around my shoulder and said softly, let's go. I gave a slight nod. The moment I turned, I heard Jijua behind me. In a voice tinged with desperation, he called out my name. Sia. I didn't look back. Goodbye, Jijua. No, it's goodbye for good. 11. Jijua and I never saw each other again. Word is, The G Group has been hit with massive fines for tax evasion and unfair competition practices. The penalties have been crippling, leaving the company severely weakened. Furthermore, Jijua is now under investigation. He's facing a formal probe for alleged intentional assault. His life was utterly ruined. Meanwhile, I was thriving at Shinmochan's company. Together, we took the company to new heights. 1 year later, Shinmochan proposed to me. He got down on one knee and pulled out a ring woven from foxtail grass. "Sia," he said, looking at me with sincere and fervent eyes, "I lost you in our past life. In this one, I don't want to miss my chance again. Will you marry me?" I smiled, tears streaming down my face. Okay, the end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. My husband handed his salary card over to his mother. He said his mom claimed young people are reckless with money, so the elders would help save it for them, euphemistically calling it forced savings. So I promptly transferred my entire month's salary to my own mother. Fair's fair. And then, we'd go to my mother-in-law's for dinner every single day. Honey, could you transfer me 200 yuan? The car's running on fumes. I need to fill up the tank soon, said my husband, Zhang Ming. I was a bit puzzled. Why is my husband asking me for money? If I remember correctly, he just got paid, didn't he? What's going on? We agreed he'd hand over his salary after marriage. I haven't even asked him for it yet, and now he's coming to me. Didn't you just get paid? What do you need money from me for? I asked, puzzled. My husband frowned, a hint of impatience in his voice. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I transferred my salary to my mom. We can't seem to save any money, so she's holding on to it for us. I was completely thunderstruck. You transferred your entire salary to your mom. He looked a bit guilty but quickly puffed out his chest. Yeah, you have a stable civil servant's salary. My mom says it's the woman's role to cover more of the household expenses. And let's be honest, you're always so free with your spending. We can't live like that. I'm just trying to help us save money. Don't worry, my mom won't touch the money. She'll give it back to us when we need it later. Think of it as forced savings. Okay, holding back my anger, I asked calmly. And what about the 3,000 yuan mortgage every month, plus all the household expenses? Am I supposed to cover everything? My husband blurted out without thinking. Yeah, of course we'll use your money. I did the math. You make almost 7,000 a month. If we're frugal, it should be enough for both of us. Trembling with rage, I said, Zhang Ming. Was all that talk before we got married about handing over your salary and sharing the financial burden just a load of crap? Honey, don't be so vulgar. Do you have any idea how hard my mother worked to raise me? What's the problem with her helping us manage our money now? Stop making a scene over nothing. Looking at his shameless face, I was so exasperated I almost laughed. Chen Ming and I met on a blind date. We just got our marriage certificate 2 months ago. I'm a civil servant, and he's a teacher. Our combined monthly salary, not counting the housing fund, is about 14,000 yuan. In theory, we should be living quite comfortably in a small county town. The catch is, we still have a 3,000 yuan mortgage payment every month. That's a bit of pressure. So when my mom found out, she wasn't too keen on us dating. My husband's mother patted her chest and assured her, don't worry about the mortgage, in-laws, Ming's father and I will cover it for them. The young couple just needs to focus on their own life. Hearing his mother's guarantee, my mom finally relented. After all, with no mortgage, both Chen Ming and I have stable jobs, and neither set of parents is a financial burden. You could say we're well matched in social status. And just like that, the marriage was settled. Before the wedding, my mother kept reminding me to take control of the finances after marriage and to be a little cautious. I didn't think much of it at the time. I used to think my mom was so tacky. Looking back now, I wish I could go back and slap myself silly. You had to be out of your mind to believe that family's nonsense before the wedding. Experience really does count for everything. My mom's seen it all, and she was right all along. Can you believe it? We just got married, and not only is his family washing their hands of the mortgage, but my husband is even handing over his entire paycheck to his mother. What kind of nonsense is this? Isn't this just a blatant setup? But do they really think I'm just going to take this lying down, in your dreams? 3. I let out a cold laugh. If you're so obedient to your mother, then why bother getting married at all? Why don't you just marry her instead? My harsh words made my husband's face darken. 1 yen. How can you say that? My parents have had it tough too. I clapped my hands and laughed. Oh, so you didn't realize your parents had it tough for the past 30 years. But now that we're married, it suddenly dawns on you. Marriage is truly a mystery. The moment a daughter-in-law steps through the door, the whole family, young and old, has an epiphany. Now your father-in-law knows to dote on his wife, and your husband listens to his mother even more. Your mother-in-law has suddenly become aware of every little ache and pain she has, and now you're even being charged for utilities at home. Going out to buy groceries costs money too. I'm just wondering. Did your daughter-in-law activate your family's defense system or something? After my outburst, my husband was completely taken aback. He mumbled, "You don't have to be so passive-aggressive. My mom's just worried we'll waste money. She's not spending it herself. She's just holding on to it for us. My mom only has our best interests at heart. Look at you, ordering takeout every day, getting packages delivered. How are we supposed to save any money? Besides, she's my own mother. Do you really think she'd do anything to hurt us?" I let out a bitter laugh, then dragged my husband over to the pile of unopened delivery boxes in our house and started opening them one by one. "Alright then, let's see who all these packages are for. Shoes for the dog, dumbbells for the dog, clothes for the dog. Since the dog doesn't speak human or act like one, I guess we'll just return it all." My husband's face instantly looked like he'd just eaten something disgusting. Because the open packages were all things I had bought for him, and just like that, out of the blue, he became the dog. He thought he could use the delivery incident to completely manipulate me, but ended up getting his plan thrown right back in his face. My husband's face flushed red and then turned pale. Finally, like a dead pig unafraid of scalding water, he said shamelessly, "Well, I've already transferred the money to my mom. What are you going to do about it?" What could I possibly do? I looked at him and said, enunciating each word clearly, "Fine, since you hand your salary over to your mom, then I'm handing my salary over to my mom too. After all, we agreed before we got married that we'd treat both sets of parents equally, right? We can't play favorites." My husband panicked when he heard that. "How can that be okay? We're married now. How can you just give your salary to your mom?" His double standard made me laugh in disbelief. I shot back, "Why not? If you can give yours to your mom, why can't I give mine to mine? What, is your mom a mom and mine isn't? So it's one rule for you and another for me, so your mom would never do you wrong, but mine is out to get me." Chen Ming, you're a grown man. Could you at least try not to be such a hypocrite? Have some shame. My husband was left speechless by my barrage of questions. After a long pause, he finally managed to sputter, "If we hand over both our salaries, what are we supposed to live on? How are we going to eat?" I took my husband by the arm and led him out to the balcony, where I stood perfectly still. My husband was terrified. He looked at me warily and said, "Why did you bring me out here? Trying to scare me by threatening to jump. Let me tell you, the money's already with my mom. Your usual tricks of crying, making a scene, and threatening suicide won't work on me." I shot him a contemptuous look at his pathetic state. "You're overthinking it. Weren't you asking what I'll eat from now on? We'll be living on thin air. Thin air. Is that even edible?" My husband was so mad at me he was momentarily stunned. It took him a moment to process it, and his expression darkened even further. I frowned. "Well, if you don't want to live on thin air, there's another option. We'll just have to eat at your parents' place every single day from now on." My husband instinctively objected. "We're married now. How can we keep mooching off my parents for meals? Isn't that a bit much?" I grabbed the nearest cup and smashed it on the floor. "We're married, but you can still hand your paycheck over to your mom. So why the hell can't we go eat at your place?" My husband was taken aback, his bravado instantly deflating. "But we can't go there to eat every single day. What are you trying to say?" "Chen Ming, you marry a wife, you provide for a wife. Are you telling me your family can't even afford to support your own wife?" I demanded. My husband muttered, "Even if we eat at my mom's place, what about the mortgage? The house isn't even in my name. That's not my problem." I didn't waste any more words on him. I pulled out my phone, tapped away for a moment, and transferred my entire month's salary to my mom, keeping only $500 for emergencies. My husband took one look and was absolutely furious. He thought I was just talking tough. It never crossed his mind that I'd actually go through with giving my entire paycheck to my mom. He looked absolutely pained. I shot him a look. "What are you standing there for? Call your mom and tell her we're coming for dinner tonight." 5. After work that evening, I headed straight to my mother-in-law's place. My mother-in-law was stunned. After all, she hadn't made enough food for the two of us. Seeing us return, she complained, "Why didn't you let us know you were coming? We don't have anything prepared." I could tell right away that my spineless husband thought my threat about eating at his parents' place every day was just an empty rant, so he never actually mentioned it to them. Little did he know I was dead serious. "And what about my mother-in-law's claim that there's nothing to eat, huh? Isn't there a roast chicken right there on the table?" My mother-in-law is such an actress. Every time we used to visit, she and my father-in-law would only ever have noodles with pickles or steamed buns with salted duck eggs on the table. Anyone seeing it would think they'd time travel back to before the founding of the People's Republic. Don't even ask. If you do, she'll say it's to save money for you kids. We're old now, your father and I. She'll say, we don't need much nutrition. We can just eat whatever. My clueless husband gets all teary-eyed and emotional every single time. I might have believed it. If my in-laws didn't weigh a combined 400 pounds, I picked up my chopsticks and, under my mother-in-law's pained gaze, put a chicken drumstick in my mouth. It's fine, Mom. This is plenty. But why aren't we having noodles and pickles this time? Looks like the family fortunes have really turned around. But you know, Mom, I'm not really a fan of chicken. I prefer seafood. My mother-in-law looked pained, her face visibly souring as she replied half-heartedly, all right then, next time you visit, I'll buy some sea cucumbers and abalone. I clapped my hands and said, great, Mom, we'll be back tomorrow for dinner. Don't forget to get some, oh, and I prefer my abalone braised in soy sauce. My mother-in-law's expression instantly froze. You're coming back tomorrow. I shot a look at my husband. Did Chin Ming not tell you? Oh, honey. You're really something. How could you not mention such a big thing to Mom? Well, since that's the case, I'll say it. Mom, we'll be coming over for dinner every day from now on, to keep you two company as well. My mother-in-law's spoon clattered onto the table. What do you mean, coming over for dinner every day? I said plaintively. Chen Ming's salary card is with you. Mine is with my mom. We have no money between us. If we don't eat here, where else are we supposed to go? My mother-in-law was stunned, then shrieked. You gave your salary to your mother. That's unacceptable. I thought to myself with a cold laugh. Like mother, like son, they even say the same things. So, you're allowed to do whatever you want, but nobody else is. Is that it? I said with a smile. Exactly. My mom says we young people don't know how to manage our lives or save money, so she's helping us by putting it aside. It's forced savings. Really, I threw those exact words right back at them. 6. At my words, my mother-in-law shot up from her seat, nearly knocking the dishes off the table. Son, your wife is being unreasonable, and you're going along with this nonsense. If you give all your money to her mother, how on earth are the two of you supposed to manage your own lives? I wiped my mouth slowly and deliberately. Mom, that's not a fair way to put it. How can you call this unreasonable? This is actually being very considerate. Look. Chen Ming hands his salary over to you for safekeeping, doesn't he? So why shouldn't I be able to do the same with my mother? What's this? The magistrates are free to burn down houses, while the common people are forbidden even to light their lamps. You're being utterly unreasonable. Ever since I met Chen Ming, I had always been respectful and polite to my mother-in-law. I had never spoken to her in this tone before. She was clearly at her wit's end and shouted, what about the mortgage? What about the household expenses? You two can't just live on thin air, can you? I feigned surprise and said, Mom, what are you talking about? What mortgage? Didn't you promise in front of my parents before the wedding that you'd pay off the mortgage? It's only been 2 months since we got married. You're not going back on your word already, are you? Or is my memory failing me? Should I give my parents a call and ask them to clarify? My mother-in-law stammered. There's no need to bother your parents with such a trivial matter, is there? I did say that, but it was only because we thought you young people need a little pressure. Pressure breeds motivation. Otherwise, the little money you make wouldn't be enough for your careless spending. I let out an understanding "oh" and said, so I remembered correctly after all. In that case, we'll have to continue troubling you two with the mortgage, even if someone isn't well educated. They should at least keep their word, right? Otherwise, can they even be considered decent people? My husband said, honey, don't make a scene, we're family. Make a scene? What scene am I making? I shook off his hand, my voice suddenly rising. What did you promise before we got married? That you'd hand over your salary, that we'd build a good life together. And look how that turned out. Your family really knows how to play the long game. 7. My husband stayed silent. But my mother-in-law suddenly covered her face and started wailing. Oh, heavens, what did I do to deserve a daughter-in-law like this? She seemed so quiet and well-mannered before the wedding. How did she turn out like this after getting married? What scheming? How can you say such awful things to your own family? I had nothing but good intentions. It's like my kindness is thrown back in my face. Old man, say something, will you? My father-in-law, who had been silently focusing on his meal, finally perked up. He slammed his chopsticks down and glared at me. What is this disgraceful behavior? Since when does a daughter-in-law speak to her elders like that? Once you married into this family, you became one of us. Go to your mother's place right now and get that money back. My mother-in-law said, exactly. When I married Chen Ming's father, I never handled the money either. It was always his grandmother who managed it. since we were past the point of politeness, I didn't hold back either. I sneered, "How can you compare yourself to me? You've lived for decades as nothing but a bed warmer, you've never held a job. You've been dependent on your husband your whole life, aside from popping out a child. What else do you have to show for yourself?" Hearing my words, my mother-in-law was so furious she nearly had a stroke. She's always acted like a queen bee at home, calling all the shots. Her husband and son have always indulged her, giving in to her every whim and treating her like a queen. No one has ever dared to challenge her or put her in her place like I have. This has left her with a completely distorted sense of self. She genuinely believes she's something special, that her word is law. And now, she thinks she can call the shots for me, too, in your dreams. Of course, I'm not being unreasonable, I said with a cold laugh. Give Chen Ming's salary back, and I'll get the money back from my mother right away, as if I believed she'd ever give back what she'd already got her hands on. Sure enough, my mother-in-law's sobbing came to an abrupt stop. That won't do, you're all spending money recklessly, I have to help you save up. I shrugged my hands. Well, if that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Mom, remember to buy abalone tomorrow. After finishing the meal, I pushed my bowl and chopsticks aside and got up to leave. On my way out, I casually picked up a bag of melons from the living room coffee table. Mom, we'll take this fruit home to eat. It's perfect timing since we're out of fruit at the house. Next time, don't buy muskmelons. They're all pumped full of growth hormones. I prefer apples. Yantai red Fuji, to be exact. Don't get the wrong kind. My mother-in-law's face turned ashen. 8. The next day, I dragged my husband to my mother-in-law's house right on time. The moment my mother-in-law saw me, her face fell and looked longer than a donkey's. She clattered the dishes onto the table, and when I looked, I couldn't help but laugh. The whole table was covered in green vegetables. Anyone who didn't know better would think she was hinting at someone being cuckolded. I started eating. Indifferent to it all, my husband frowned, glanced at my mother-in-law again, and held his tongue. I laughed. My husband is a true carnivore. He feels completely off if a meal doesn't have meat. Making him eat vegetables every day would be worse than killing him. I used to feel so bad for him, making sure every meal had meat or seafood. Now, he can eat it or not. It's none of my business, really. As for me, it's perfect for my diet. Some leafy greens are just fine. Trying to drive me away with this trick. Wishful thinking. After dinner, I wandered around the living room. What a shame, there was no fruit today. A smug look appeared on my mother-in-law's face. I sighed. What a pity. Looks like I'll just have to take that case of yogurt. I picked up the case of ammo from the living room and headed for the door. My mother-in-law's face turned livid again. You're taking the yogurt too, scraping every last thing from us old folks every single day. Is that it? Have you no shame? I threw my hands up. What choice do I have? We gave all our money to you, so how are we supposed to afford yogurt? Besides, experts say too much yogurt is bad for older people's digestion. I'm only thinking of your health. She was once again left speechless with anger. 9. A few more days passed. It wasn't just the vegetables that had gone bad. My husband's face had turned green with envy. Finally, when my mother-in-law brought out yet another spread of vegetable dishes, my husband lost his temper. Mom, why is it nothing but vegetables every single meal? Who can stomach this? My mother-in-law replied with an appeasing smile. Oh, you silly boy, meat is so expensive these days. Besides, eating your greens is good for you. She shot a meaningful glance at my husband. My husband understood perfectly. He fell silent. He said nothing more. I simply smiled without a word. The next day, my husband said he was going on a business trip and wouldn't be home for dinner for the next few days. I went to my mother-in-law's house by myself. Perfect. There wasn't even a single green vegetable in sight. On the table sat a bowl of plain boiled noodles and a dish of pickled red vegetables. Chen Ming isn't here either, so we'll just have to make do with this today, my mother-in-law said, a flicker of smugness in her eyes. Does she really think that's enough to make me back down? I didn't say a word. I took out my phone and called my usual restaurant, ordering an extra large portion of spicy crayfish for delivery. I'm a regular there, so the owner and I are pretty familiar with each other. I transferred the money directly to the owner and made a point of telling him to ask my mother-in-law for another payment. If he manages to get it, he can keep the whole amount. The owner was over the moon. Seriously, that's too good to be true. I agreed without a moment's hesitation. 10. The boss was very efficient. In less than half an hour, there was a knock at the door. The elderly woman went to answer the door. We didn't order any crayfish. You've got the wrong house. I don't care. It was definitely you who ordered it. The address is correct, the shop owner said loudly. I hurried out. Mom, I'm the one who ordered the crayfish. It's for us. Please, just pay the man. My mother-in-law raised her voice. Why should I pay for something you ordered, you little spendthrift? How much did this cost? Whoever ordered it pays for it. I threw my hands up in the air. I'd love to pay, Mom, but I don't have any money. Don't you have my pay card? My mother-in-law simply refused to pay. The shopkeeper scowled. I don't care which one of you pays. The order was delivered to this house, so someone here owes me. Are you trying to dine and dash? My mother-in-law snapped. Whoever placed the order should pay. She's the one who ordered it, so go ask her for the money. Why are you bothering me? I took one look, plopped myself down right in the doorway, and started wailing, uncles, aunties, everyone, come and be the judge. I never get enough to eat at my in-laws, and when I order takeout, my mother-in-law yells at me. Why is my life so miserable? My in-laws live in a housing compound for my father-in-law's former work unit. All the neighbors are his old colleagues. They absolutely love gossiping about each other's families and watching the drama unfold. Old man Wang from across the hall, who used to be the section chief in my father-in-law's office, heard the commotion and came out. Chin family's daughter-in-law, he said, you're a grown woman. How can you expect your in-laws to pay for your takeout? Young people these days. This just won't do. I wiped my tears. Uncle Wang, you don't understand. My husband's salary card is with my mother-in-law. We have no money for food, so we have to come here to eat. My husband's been away on a business trip these past few days, and my mother-in-law has been feeding me nothing but pickles and plain noodles. I couldn't take it anymore, so I finally ordered some takeout. But she's the one holding on to our salary card. Where on earth am I supposed to get the money to pay for it? I was crying my eyes out, absolutely miserable. What? Your husband's salary card is with your mother-in-law? Oh, for heaven's sake, what kind of nonsense is that? I've never heard of such a thing in our entire neighborhood. Are you serious? This was from Auntie Jean on the second floor, the neighborhood's biggest gossip. I nodded frantically, like a chicken pecking at rice. I swear on my life, it's true. We have no money for food, so we have to eat at my in-laws' place, and all she gives me every day is pickles and noodles. Oh my goodness, this is just too much. What kind of family is this? Isn't this the so-called mama's boy? Said Granny's son from the opposite unit. I gave Granny's son a mental thumbs up. The key point is, you took his pay card and still feed him nothing but pickled vegetables every day. Mrs. Chen, Ming's mother. That's not right, is it? You're ruining our neighborhood's reputation, said Grandpa Chen from the third floor. Hearing the pointed remarks from their former colleagues, the in-laws were dumbstruck. My father-in-law is a man who values his pride above all else. How could he possibly endure such a scene? His face dark with anger, he snapped at my mother-in-law. Just pay up. Haven't we been humiliated enough? My mother-in-law shot me a resentful look before reluctantly handing the money to the shopkeeper. The boss gave me a discreet, secretive thumbs up. Back in the room, I placed the entire plate of crayfish right in front of me and started eating with great relish. As for my in-laws' expressions, let's just say, you wouldn't believe how priceless they were. And just like that, I started ordering crawfish one day and roast duck the next. If they didn't pay up, I'd make a scene. My mother-in-law finally got the message and never dared to fob me off with noodles and pickles again. Fresh green vegetables were back on the table. My husband, who had been away on a business trip, finally came home. After eating nothing but greens day in and day out, he couldn't take it anymore. Finally, after my mother-in-law served yet another table full of leafy greens, my husband protested, Mom, could you make some meat dishes? We have greens every single day. I'm starting to turn into a vegetable myself. My mother-in-law agreed with a sour look on her face. 11. The next day, she excitedly brought home a large slab of pork ribs and huddled in the kitchen with my father-in-law, whispering, listen, old man, I got a real bargain. They say this pig died from the heat, so the meat's cheap, half the usual price. The old man frowned. How do you know it died from the heat? Couldn't it be a sick pig? Eating sick pork can make you ill. The old woman patted her chest and said, don't worry, it's absolutely fine. I asked all the right questions. The old man said nothing more. That very evening, my mother-in-law stewed a huge pot of pork rib soup. My husband happily ate bowl after bowl. I claimed I had no appetite and didn't touch a bite. And of course, nobody cared whether I ate or not. In my mother-in-law's eyes, it's best if I don't eat at all. My husband ate with great satisfaction. After finishing, he let out a burp and said to me, so, honey, my mom's pretty good at managing the money, right? You're just being paranoid all the time. She's my own mother. Do you really think she'd do anything to harm me? The pork rib soup is absolutely delicious today. You're really not having any. Are you giving me the silent treatment? Ha, suit yourself. it's not me who'll go hungry." My husband lay down, looking utterly pleased with himself. In the middle of the night, he suddenly broke out in a cold sweat and made repeated, frantic trips to the bathroom. The diarrhea left him completely drained. I said with a laugh, "Oh dear. It seems the meat really was quite something. You really should have had more, honey." My husband didn't say a word, and my in-laws weren't much better. I heard the two of them almost came to blows over who got to use the bathroom first. When my husband found out it was the bad pork his mother bought that gave him such a bad case of diarrhea, he hit the roof. After the blow-up with his mom, he pulled me aside and said, "Honey, maybe I should get my paychecks back and we should just eat at home. I miss your cooking." I thought to myself with a cold laugh, "Oh, so you want a taste, is that it?" Back in the day, I went out of my way to cook him all sorts of delicious meals every single day. The fish, meat, and shrimp were always the freshest I could buy, and as for fruit, only the most expensive kinds were good enough. "So you want your salary card back now?" "Too late," I frowned and said, "No way, I really don't want to cook. I think eating at my parents' place is just fine." My husband made a sour face. I ignored him and fiddled with my phone. I immediately sent a 200 yuan red packet to Auntie Zhang from the unit opposite my mother-in-law's to thank her. Yes, I was the one who deliberately had her leak the information about the diseased pork to my mother-in-law. I don't think this is my fault, after all. My plan wouldn't have succeeded if my mother-in-law hadn't been so eager for a bargain. 12. Because of the spoiled pork incident. My husband started to feel some resentment towards his mother, treating her with obvious coldness and disdain. But on this day, my husband came home from work in high spirits, all his recent grievances completely forgotten. "Our principal spoke to me today. The dean of students is retiring, and the principal wants to recommend me to the higher-ups to take over the position." My husband's face was full of anticipation. He's been working diligently for several years now without a promotion. So naturally, he's thrilled to finally have this opportunity, and the resentment from the tainted pork incident a few days ago had completely vanished. My mother-in-law was overjoyed too. "That's wonderful, son, I always knew you were the best." See, I was right, wasn't I? When my mother-in-law heard her son was getting a promotion, she seemed to stand a little taller. She looked at me with a faint, smug smile and said, "My boy is finally going places, not like some people who've been stuck in the same low-level position for years." A word of advice: behave yourself. If you don't be surprised if my son leaves you and finds someone better. I raised an eyebrow but said nothing. My husband cleared his throat. "Mom, can you give me 10,000 yuan? I need to buy some good liquor and cigarettes to give to the leadership. Teacher Yang from the next office has had his eye on this position for a long time. We really need to move fast on this." My mother-in-law's voice suddenly rose. "What, 10,000? How can it be that much?" My husband said, "It's not that much, really. A couple bottles of mitai and 2 cartons of chunghwa, and that's it. Besides, once I become the head of academic affairs, do you really think we won't get it back?" My mother-in-law's eyes darted. "All right, son, leave this to your mom. I'll handle it perfectly. It's just cigarettes and liquor, no problem." My husband was skeptical. "Mom, this is no joking matter. Are you sure you can do it? You can't mess this up. My whole career is on the line." My mother-in-law thumped her chest. "Don't worry, son, would I ever set you up to fail? I'm your mother, unlike some people." I kept a straight face and a steady heart, focusing intently on eating my food. Don't I know this old woman? Just you wait, my husband's surprise is yet to come. 13. The next day, my mother-in-law handed my husband a gift bag. He opened it to find 2 bottles of premium 52 proof mitai and 2 cartons of soft-packed chunghwa cigarettes. Everything looked fine. My husband happily took it to work. When he got back, he was already daydreaming about a promotion. In the following days, he even started talking to me in a louder voice. I sneered to myself, thinking he was getting ahead of himself before the promotion was even official. If he actually got it, his ego would be too big for the planet. Just let you be smug for a few more days. Sure enough, a few days later, my husband came home from work looking as dejected as a rooster that had lost a fight. On the way to my mother-in-law's for a free meal, he complained to me. I don't know what happened. It was clearly agreed that I would be the head of discipline. But today they announced it was that old Yang. I even sent the gifts, and our principal hasn't given me a single kind look these past few days, even scolding me in front of the students without any regard for my face. After taking my gifts and treating me like this, what a piece of work. I didn't say a word, just sneered inwardly. You'd probably have to ask your dear mother about that. 14. I felt a pang of schadenfreude, but still offered a few words of faint comfort. When we reached my mother-in-law's door, my husband was about to knock when we heard her chatting with her old friend. My mother-in-law's voice was so piercing it could cut right through the iron door. My Chenming is getting a promotion any day now, and his salary will go up quite a bit. The other day, he asked me for money to buy a gift, 10,000 yuan. Can you believe the waste? Well, guess what clever idea I had, her old friend said. Did you buy a couple of bottles of fake liquor? The mother-in-law said triumphantly, fake liquor, that would give the game away. Do you think I'm that stupid? Listen, I spent 60 yuan on 2 empty bottles and filled them with some cheap ergo too. That's a genuine bottle, and it's from a 7-year-old vintage. Even if they inspected it, they'd never know it was fake. Pretty clever, huh? Her old friend gasped. Oh my god, you're something else. But what if someone can actually taste that it's fake? The mother-in-law said with a dismissive look, impossible. It's all by Joe anyway. What's the difference? They won't be able to tell. Those people who drink expensive stuff are just doing it for show. Let me tell you, once my Chenming gets that promotion, I'm going to make him trade in his wife right away. The one he has now is just so. My husband was outside the door, shaking with rage, his face turned a deep, purplish red. He never imagined that his failure to get the promotion was because of his mother-in-law's little stunt, fake liquor. No wonder the principal was looking at him with such disapproval. Before I could even process what was happening, my husband kicked the door open, pointed at my mother-in-law, and yelled, Mom, do you have any idea what you've done? The 2 people in the room were startled. My mother-in-law looked utterly bewildered and said with annoyance, what's gotten into you? You just got home from work. What's gotten into me? You've ruined my career. I didn't get the promotion. Why on earth did you make that fake liquor? Looking guilty, the mother-in-law denied it. What fake wine? I have no idea what you're talking about. Stop pretending. I heard everything you just said. Seeing things were going south, her old friend quietly picked up her bag and slipped away. The husband and his mother had a huge argument. My career is over, my husband wailed. Burying his head in his hands, my mother-in-law sat there in a daze. I sat to the side, admiring my freshly done nails, feeling quite pleased with myself. Old Jean, the scrap collector, did a pretty good job. Thanks to him, I was able to sell the empty bottles I'd collected to the old lady without a hitch. I'll just buy him a carton of cigarettes tomorrow. 15. After the promotion at work fell through, my husband gave the old lady the cold shoulder for days and demanded her mother-in-law return the salary card in no uncertain terms. But then again, you have to hand it to the mother-in-law. She's no pushover. She pulled out all the stops, the waterworks, the tantrums, the emotional blackmail, every guilt-tripping trick in the book. My husband's heart softened again, and he was right back under her thumb. He sheepishly tried to explain to me, my mom didn't mean any harm. She's just been poor for so long it's left her a bit scarred and set in her ways. After all, she's my mother. She didn't mean to hurt me. I gave a cold laugh and said nothing. Whatever makes you happy. Perhaps even heaven couldn't stand to watch anymore. Before I could think of a new plan, my husband had an accident. I was at work that day when I got a call saying my husband had been in a car accident and was being treated at the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, my husband was sitting in a wheelchair. His upper body seemed fine, but one leg was bleeding. It looked like a fracture, though he was probably not in any life-threatening danger. Seeing me, my husband visibly relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. Honey, you're finally here. Could you go and take care of the payment first? I threw my hands up in a helpless gesture. I can't. Honey, don't you remember? I have no money. You gave your salary card to your mom. I gave mine to my mom. All I have on me is 200 bucks. After I finished speaking, I looked at the doctor in confusion and asked, Doctor, 200 yuan isn't enough, is it? The doctor and the nurse were both stunned. They had probably never seen anything like this before. My husband was dumbfounded, and I finally saw a flicker of regret in his eyes. Just then, my in-laws arrived. Seeing my husband in that state, my mother-in-law rushed over and burst into tears. My husband cut her off. Mom, you're just in time. Could you go and pay the bill first? My mother-in-law's eyes darted away, and she mumbled something incoherently. A bad feeling began to creep into my husband's heart. Just as expected, my mother-in-law spoke up. I don't have any money, dear. My husband was on the verge of a breakdown. I give you my entire salary every month. Where did it all go? His mother replied, I put it all into investments. My husband was completely baffled. Investments? What investments? Just the other day, a shop was giving out eggs to get us to attend a lecture. I put all my money into it, and now I can't find them anywhere. Son, your mother's been scammed. The old lady was sobbing and wailing. So that's why there were so many eggs at home. It turns out she got them for attending those lectures. Ha ha ha, serves her right. My husband was trembling with rage, completely speechless. My in-laws started calling friends and relatives, and somehow managed to borrow 20,000 yuan to cover the surgery costs. To win back my husband's favor, my mother-in-law came to the hospital every day, taking care of him with a rotating menu of chicken and pork rib soups. My husband's anger was beginning to fade again. I thought that was the end of it, but I guess even fate couldn't stand by and watch. Then, something else went wrong. 16, that day, my mother-in-law came out of the doctor's office and told my husband in a panic that he had cancer. The doctor said the treatment would cost at least 5 or 600,000. Conservatively speaking, my husband was completely thunderstruck. After a bout of weeping and wailing, my mother-in-law said, "Son, maybe we shouldn't go through with the treatment. Where on earth would I find that kind of money?" My husband said through gritted teeth, "You're my own mother. I give you my salary every month, and now you're telling me you won't get treatment." My mother-in-law's face hardened. "Even if I am your mother, I have to say it. This illness simply can't be cured. It'll be a waste of both a life and money. What are your father and I supposed to do then? How are we supposed to live out our old age? Son, you can't be this selfish. Let's just accept that our bond as mother and child was never meant to be deep." My husband's eyes were filled with resentment. His mother didn't even bother. What trouble could a dying man possibly cause? She and his father didn't even bother coming to the hospital anymore, abandoned by his family. My husband looked ashen-faced, and then came another surprise. It turns out my husband doesn't have cancer. My mother-in-law misread the report and mixed up someone else's results with his. Aside from the broken leg from the car accident, my husband is perfectly fine. He's in fantastic health. Surprise, surprise, who would have thought? I swear on my life, I had nothing to do with this. I don't have that kind of pull at the hospital. I guess you could say even the heavens couldn't stand by and watch anymore. My husband is over the moon. It's like he's got a whole new lease on life. It doesn't bother me. Widow isn't exactly a pleasant title. After all, his mother was left utterly speechless. It was too late to put on a show of mother-son affection now. 17. After being discharged from the hospital, my husband came to his senses and firmly demanded his salary card back from his mother. My mother-in-law threw herself on the floor, kicking and screaming, refusing to hand it over. "Mom, think carefully. If you don't give it to me, I can just get a replacement card. After that, our relationship as mother and son ends here. Don't worry. I'll still give you the basic living allowance every month." For once, my husband stood his ground. My mother-in-law was stunned and obediently handed over the card. My husband turned and handed me the card. "Honey, I regret everything. Let's make this work. From now on, I'm giving you my salary card." My husband held his salary card out to me. He thought I would be overjoyed to take it, but to my surprise, I didn't pick up. More than believing in a prodigal son's redemption, I hold that one act of betrayal is enough to lose my trust forever, right from the start of our marriage. He was full of schemes against me, and of course, my mother-in-law's instigation and encouragement played a part in it. Ultimately, it all comes down to him. Even if someone like him has a change of heart this